The Cleveland Moto podcast is brought to you by Moto Stories with Unkie Phil, a YouTube series. Go watch, subscribe.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Cleveland Moto podcast. We are at episode number 344. Light them up. Yeah, I just think, thanks to John, I can't light him up. I can only tinkle my ice. Apparently, I'm drinking rum drinks tonight.
Nice. Which John would like to thank all of the listeners and people that have actually taken heed to the fact that we have enough bourbon brown liquor, but we liken the rum brown liquor.
We have rum brown liquor now, too. Yeah, that's it. We have rum in both flavors. Rum, brown, and clear.
Brown and clear. No spiced rum, though. I thought we had some spiced rum left over. But
yeah, we don't have any spiced rum. It's just kind of like, it became this thing where it's like having spiced rum was kind of like, haha, you got spiced rum, dick. You know, like everybody became so purist about stuff that it was like, oh, spiced rum is like bad. Yeah. You know, but
not in my world.
Not in my world. There are plenty of drinks that benefit from spiced rum. So I love the Pirate. So the Pirate rum, they've always done a good job of display. Pirate has always given you your money's worth in just packaging.
PYRAT.
Yeah, Pirate rum. Pirate rum usually has a little Buddha on it, and it's Caribbean rum, so it's legit. And this is the Hoti, the Zen patron saint and protector of fortune tellers and bartenders. So that's Hoti, the patron saint of fortune tellers and bartenders. I like how automatically bartenders and fortune tellers are in the same fucking category.
Sure.
As they should be.
Get the same patron saint. And it's, why does it got to be guys morbidly obese? Like, what are you trying to tell me?
He's an official member of the podcast, except for Oscar.
He's officially in. Yeah. That's exactly it. So one of our podcast listeners was nice enough to chime in immediately. He must know that what time. He must have figured out our schedule. So what he says is, and I think this is brilliant, is cuffing season. Learn something new every time.
So he literally, because we dropped the new episode
today,
4 hours ago.
Yeah.
So
we dropped it today.
He just spent 2 hours with us, and now he's
right. And he said he's like, cuffing season, huh? Learn something new. Learn new shit every week. So that's a Cleveland Moto top tip.
Yep.
Yeah,
cuffing season.
There you go.
And you learn new shit every fucking week, and it's true, right? I mean, that's a big deal for us.
And speaking of cuffing season, Manscaped.
So, guys, for the worldwide, so the week late weather report for the rest of the country. So Cleveland's weather report 1 week late for the rest of the country. Remember last week or 2 hours ago when we dropped that podcast and we were talking about it's the perfect temperature outside. Yep. Not a single mosquito in the air. We were sitting around the table, just kind of enjoying Mother Nature. And in 7 days, Mother Nature said, fuck you. I'm going full London on this shit because it is British outside. It is 54 and 100% humidity without giving you the fucking dignity of actually being rain.
3 inches of rain, though.
It's just mist moving sideways. Yeah.
Only a schmuck would ride to the podcast on a night like
and
tonight.
Yet I heard you show up.
I know.
Yeah. Apparently, Schmucky McSmuckerson showed up on his loud machine.
Yeah. I louded it a little.
You louded it a little. It got louder.
That's the only time Lucas Electronics operate. It's in the rain.
You get extra conductivity. Right. It drops the resistance dramatically by having that.
So what'd you do to enlouden it?
I was snorting around on eBay and I found 2 brand new chrome Emigo fucking shorty fucking whatever Triumph fucking muffler cans or whatever for $50.
That's 3 fuckings right in there.
Yeah, for $50. He couldn't pass it up, so I ordered them. They showed up in a day.
Yeah.
And so I worked from home today, so I took a extended lunch for a minute.
Are these the slash cuts or the turnouts?
No, they're like kind of like legit. Like they have like, what do you call them? Like the cone, the reverse cone.
Yeah.
So they
reverse
have
cone megaphones.
Yeah. But they have the snout and everything on the back of them and stuff. So they look legit.
Yeah.
And I put them on and here's the thing. I think whoever had the bike before me had those on and jetted it for it.
Oh.
Because now it runs.
Because now it's happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all know that. So point to the doll where the man touched you.
No. Third one's in.
Third one's in. The long, like these ones?
Yeah.
Those ones.
Yep.
That's a really long reverse cone.
Yeah, it's nice. It really doesn't look too much different than the pea shooters, but
Like
it's
on a Thruxton.
Yeah.
yeah, but it's like 50% louder.
Oh, yeah.
So it went from like a sewing machine that had a zzz noise, it was like zzz, to now it sounds like a Harley with an extra cylinder.
I mean, at the risk of being a fucking chode, it sounds good. Like when you pulled up, it sounds like, it doesn't sound fast.
No.
But it sounds good.
It doesn't sound like a slappy Harley either, like the loud, ridiculous, like, like you're...
No, that exhaust would make an 8-year-old roll his windows down.
Yeah.
That's like teenage boner fuel.
Yeah.
Like it does sound like it sounds appropriately muscular.
Right. But here's the fun part about this.
Yeah.
So what they don't tell you when you're, especially with like, obviously it's a hinky triple at the back thing, so it has 2 into 1 and 1 into 1, right?
Exactly.
So the 1 into 1 is about an 1/8 inch smaller than the 2 into 1.
That's right.
So you have to, there's a lot of adjusting with the stuff.
Collets.
So people that don't know, or people that never bought an MGO pipe before. So MGO stands for Em'll go on just fine.
Yeah. But to their credit, all right, they included 3 different collets.
3 sets of spacers
that
interlock with each other like Russian nesting dolls.
And they won't leak because each one's cut a different thing and it's wiggly.
Exactly.
So like as you squeeze it, the gas can't go. Oh, it's fucking great.
It makes a labyrinth feel.
Yeah.
You're
there you go.
You're talking to a guy that right now has that exhaust that you paid $50 a piece for?
On everything?
Well, I got 12 of them in the back room.
Oh,
there. Yeah. Call me next time.
Okay. I didn't know you'd stock that.
Oh, well, when it comes to making Moto Guzzi's
but 50 for 2 though. 2.
Damn it. No, I can't touch that.
Right.
Yeah, that's MC Hammer.
Yeah, no, $50 for 2. That's why I bought it.
No, I mean, you see, Dennis Kirk gets $74.60 a pop for those.
Yeah, no.
right?
No, it was $50.
Right.
Some guy bought them and said, "Oh, they're too loud."
No.
I had them on the bike for 4 seconds.
Right.
Blah blah. So
he's
50,
right.
Yeah.
Because you put that on expecting that it would still be EPA compliant, and it's not.
Right. But what I didn't realize is he was in Highland Heights, Ohio. So when I bought them on eBay, he was like, "I'll ship them today," and then they showed up today, like yesterday and then today.
I love that. I'll ship them today, or you could just stop by.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know.
Right, exactly.
I didn't know.
Well, so we made a huge.
This time it's not the sound guy making noise.
Fucking hell. We've entered a very.
Microphone's back in his face.
Wait, can I show my hands and make sure that everybody knows that wasn't me?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about that because apparently Cleveland Moto Podcast has entered a whole new fucking thing, and I don't like it. Fuck you guys. Again, you're about 11 seconds away from doing this, like. Phil Light. You're gonna be like, oh, wow, that podcast really sounds good when there's only 6 people and no Phil. Yeah. To my immediate left. And by the way, to my immediate left,
Dan Kromke.
who has done nothing so far but give positive content and pirate rum and didn't make stupid noises. So Dan already gets the 100 points. All right. And to his left, a fucking dickhead.
Oscar. Soundboard Oscar.
He's got that.
That's a different day. That wasn't me.
Way to pick. Yeah. I like when Steve does show up. Yeah. Fucking assholes. Yeah. This is right now. Knock just got a boner. Fucking Knock. Yeah. Knock just went. Oh yeah, my people. All right, and to his left,
Steve's sleeping.
No, Oscar can introduce himself because.
I thought he was done.
We want to make sure that everyone understands that tonight's Foley artist.
It's Oscar.
Just lost fucking 7 listeners.
Dang it.
That's all my 7 accounts that signed up surreptitiously. That's it. Yeah. Wizardsleave@gmail.com. Yeah. Leakysphincter@gmail.com. Yeah, that's me. I'm gone. Forget it. I just unsubscribed.
The Patreon just went negative.
That's exactly it. I'm going to have to close down my 3 Patreon accounts.
Asking for money.
And to his left, riding the unnaturally loud Triumph Triple.
Steve sleeping.
Go just fine on there. Yep. That's it.
And I'm still rocking my $43 Frog Togs for the rain gear, and it still works 5 years later.
Yeah. You know what? The best thing ever about rain gear for people like us who live where we do and don't ride when it rains unless we absolutely get stuck.
Right.
It's good. Like, you don't need an arrow stitch suit. You just need a set of fucking, whatever they had at Kmart or.
Well, you got a whole bag of them over there.
I do. Yeah, I got a whole bag of them. Yeah, that's it. I mean, we sell the piss out of those, so people like them.
They're great.
Yeah.
They're basically Tyveks with a suit.
It's a Tyvek suit in a different color.
Yeah.
It's basically, it'll get the job done.
It works, though. You can go 70 miles an hour into rain and you don't get wet.
It kills me how effective those things are at just protecting you from the water.
Right.
Yeah, from one thing.
That's it.
We will talk a little bit later about somebody who didn't get protected from water, but that's a story for another story.
Okay.
So and then to his immediate left,
Steve Hofford.
and you did ride today as well.
Yes, I rode my Simba because I love my Simba.
Fucking,
Hey,
don't have a fucking Foley trick for that, do
Yeah,
you?
right.
No,
right.
no.
You're
See?
the sexiest
A
man
little-
alive
a
on a
little
Simba.
Lion King going on, perhaps. But that is
He's looking.
because
He's got nothing.
our customers, our listener, probably doesn't know.
That's all I got.
Jesus
Cameron.
fucking Christ! Oh my God,
That's it. That was the last one.
that's Camaro.
Yeah.
All right.
If you believe that,
I don't believe that for a
now.
second. The rum hasn't taken hold yet. Yeah. So if you're looking up at our screen right now behind us, you'll see that Simba is basically it's a Honda Super Cub. It's a Honda Cub. It's a step through. But what makes the bike a little bit different is the bike does have telescopic front forks, which when the Simba came out, there were some other Vietnamese bikes and some Chinese bikes that were Honda, Super Cub clones. But they still had the old school leading link suspension on them. And so when the Simba came out, it has, it's got a stiffer or a stronger front suspension, meaning it has normal telescopic forks, right?
Steve says he has plans for a single leaf spring front suspension that he'd like to put on it.
He's spent too much time looking at those bikes from the early 1900s.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's truly, it's the most efficient system. It's just one single
What is
leaf spring.
he was looking up, what is the percentage of vintage bike to new bike that you can have and still do that,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So how many parts per million can your bike be modern?
Yeah.
So if the frame is 1929,
Right.
how much of the rest of the motorcycle has to also be 1929? Yeah.
He'll be like the Germans that cheated on the road bike racing where they put an electric motor into the thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You'll have like a Henderson motor, but it'll have a fucking sim motor inside of it.
All the frame tubes will just be lithium. It'll just be just acres of lithium hidden inside the frames and then a
Right.
little spool motor in the back. Yeah, that's
And
exactly.
a sound system to go.
And then just leaks oil that you fill occasionally. Yeah.
It's just his piss jar that he lets go when he fucking shows up somewhere.
So Steve Hoffert did get, officially the best color of Simba, which is the baby blue, the baby blue and white, because it screams retro. Even the saddles are treated like saddle shoes. Like, the joke is in saddle shoes, right? Well, these things, the saddles are black and white, so they look retro.
Yep.
That's another thing that's just like
Beautiful.
It's
You'd
a
look
beautiful
good
bike.
pulling into the sock hop on that thing.
Now, the trick is, if you see a dude at a light riding a baby blue Simba, right? You're like, I want to beat him up, but his dick is probably huge because he's undercompensating like a motherfucker. Like, this is the opposite of a Harley Davidson with flames on it.
What year is it?
That's what back in the wheelie
2010.
days. Back in the wheelie days, I had a Vanson pink, like 100% pink leather, and it said on the bottom, it said "fuck around and find out."
Yeah, the reason you had a pink Vanson
Meanwhile,
is,
I'm a giant pussy, but it kept me from fighting anybody.
and the pink Vanson is always on the closeout shelf.
yes, it
So what do we
is.
got? We got a pink Vanson, size triple extra girthy, right? So we made one of these for.
50% off.
And wait a second. She never came and picked up her order, Liza. Weird. Okay. All right. Hey. Shots fired. Okay, I'm warming up. I'm warming up to that thing. All right. Maybe I'm warming up to it.
I gotta pick them better, but
Maybe I'm warming up to it just a little bit.
He's here all week. Try the veal.
Tip to waitress.
Don't try the veal.
I must say that the only time anybody's ever called me anything was on my yellow passport.
They called you what?
Yeah.
You know,
Buttercup.
They call you fag?
yeah.
They called you fag for riding a yellow passport.
But it was like 30 degrees out.
Yeah.
I was in shorts.
Right.
I was on Madison where you turn on the Hilliard in the turning lane.
Yeah.
The guy pulls up next to me and calls me a fag.
Now, wait a second. I will call attention to the fact that you are in Lakewood, Ohio, the second highest concentration of homosexuals in these United States, right? Second highest concentration in the U.S. of homosexuals. And you got called a fag. Were they in a Dodge Ram pickup truck?
No, he was in like a Kia or something.
Well, I think maybe it was a term of endearment. Like, hey, fag.
Maybe he was sitting on you. I don't know. You just
Or maybe he wasn't hitting on you. Maybe he was checking.
Yeah.
Maybe he went, fag?
Question mark?
Did it go up at the end like he's a Canadian? Yeah. I don't know.
Do you remember there's a comedian named Bob Nelson back in the day? He did the football thing with the balloons in his shoulders and everything.
I don't know. Yeah.
But he also did a thing about dude, where he's like, in California, dude is one word.
Right.
But it's like an Eskimo word where he's like, it could be like, dude?
Right.
Like, what's up? Or dude, what's up? And he's like, dude?
Right.
Is there a killer in your closet? Like, he had all these different, like...
That's what George Carlin said a long time ago. Fuck was the most versatile word in the world.
Yeah.
Because you could say, the Hawaiians do the same thing with shaka.
Oh, yeah.
So like they'll throw a shaka out and a shaka can mean anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just universal. It
Eat,
100%.
fuck, suck, gobble, nibble, chew, nipple, pussy, hair, pie, finger, fuck, screw.
That's exactly it. Thank you for
That
nailing
was
it.
George Carlin.
Yeah.
Like he
Oh,
had this whole long thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Orangutan tit. I couldn't
And
remember.
the 7 words you're not allowed to say
Right.
on TV.
Goddamn shit, motherfucking tits.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's fucking pretty cool that you brought the Simba out, man. So rock on with the bad self. And then the spirit too of it's cold as fuck out. So yeah. And then John.
Johnny Mac.
That's right. God damn it. Oh shit, we're there. When I said John, I thought you were going to say and to his left. Yeah.
I never got the and to
He
my
didn't get his
left.
prompt. Yeah.
Chris Smith.
And Chris Smith, who took a break last week to have some oral surgery.
Periodontical surgery.
Periodontical
So
surgery.
apparently a trap was set for me though.
Wait, so they
because-
were working strictly in your perineum?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where they started.
Ouch.
Oh,
that's
unfortunate.
Also, last week, Smith let a joke just fly over his head so hard because he said, "Oh, I'm having mouth surgery and it's going to be numb." I said, "Bring your numb mouth up here, buddy." And he totally didn't get that. And it was like,
I'm pretty sure Mrs. Smith had dibs on that.
Show up with numb mouth. Yeah. No
Woo-hoo.
shit. Yeah. So
I feel like I was set up though because somebody put this rattly thing of beef jerky in front of me that says, "Eat me, podcasters."
well, that was full.
Right.
And then Smith brought it out and ate the whole bag.
well, can you
except
give
for
me?
that.
I'd like to try it since we're supposed to eat
good.
it. I want to make sure if it's going to affect one of us, it's going to affect all of us.
I don't know where it came from. Was it a podcast?
In case these have
listener?
been roofied. I don't know.
I think James bought it and didn't like it.
Oh,
it's in James's handwriting.
Yeah, because
Okay.
that
And
was
that's why it says "Eat Me, podcasters" in James's handwriting. Because he's like, you know what? I've had just about enough of this shit. Yeah. The
he knows if anything is left here, it will be consumed by all of us.
yeah. Oh,
By the critters.
we have eaten so much shit out of that kitchen that we're not supposed to.
Right.
Yeah. My staff has pretty much given up on the idea of ever having food out there that's any good.
On Thursday.
Who ate? Who,
Yeah.
James is like, who ate my bag of turmeric? And we're like, I'm sorry.
Sorry, dude.
Fucking trash pandas.
I didn't know you were on a certain like a restrictive diet. You gotta
Right.
get your macros in. Oh, fucking hell.
Where'd the gummies get off to?
The gummies. I don't know.
Oh, exactly, right.
What gummies?
Yeah. No, we're the squarest shop in the world. If you leave a protein bar out there, gone in 3 seconds. You leave a giant box of weed in the fridge or in the freezer, it's an archaeological dig. You'll never, like, nobody will touch it. We are the squarest, like the shop is square as fuck. And you'd come in here, you'd see our liquor collection. You'd see how much, herbal medication is what you say, right?
Yeah.
You'd see that and you'd think, wow, these guys party. We don't. We just don't. I don't even have a drink midday. Like nothing. Like when we're here working, we're fucking working. I like having a small staff. Be small, keep it all. You know?
You're waiting for accolades, but I think that's normal.
No, it's normal. Yeah. I'm just surprised nobody commented on the small staff joke.
Right.
Small stuff.
Oh no! Oscars for your move.
No, I'm trying.
It retracted
I
immediately.
said I wasn't too good anymore, so I'm really trying.
Yeah. So that's that.
Just find the good ones. At least.
Jesus, Christmas. So
And we have some bourbon.
and we have some bourbon too. Yeah. So he brought Yellowstone, which is funny because it's called Yellowstone, but it's not from Wyoming.
It's not from Wyoming.
It's from Lebanon, Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Yeah, from Lebanon,
So
Kentucky.
any Lebanese,
Right.
they get a complimentary shot.
And it is, yeah. So there's our token Lebanese. Yeah, that's it. Well done.
Well, it's impressive.
Since
that
1872 also.
Right, but it's impressive that our Lebanese friend is here because I thought you were going to be in New York at Americade.
Well,
Yeah, for real.
there was only a foot of water there, so I decided I'd stay here.
Okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. I mean, that does. When you do think about it, you're like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to go to some, kick-ass rally 1,000 miles away. And then you realize it's going to rain the entire fucking time I'm there.
If it was 70 in rain,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have been a problem.
Okay.
But it's like in the 50s and rain,
Yeah.
so...
Yeah, I
Pass it around.
wouldn't. I wouldn't fucking go. There's no way I'd go to that. That's asking
Go
for
to
trouble.
where?
I'm going to go next week or
So that's Americade.
2 weeks.
So Americade.
When does that start?
now?
Oh, right now?
Last Tuesday.
If you're not there,
We still can make it up there. Saturday is going to be nice.
right? Yeah,
You
because what
going?
do they say? You're all here because you're not all there. Yeah,
I'm not.
that's it.
I don't want to go up there for one day and come home. I want to stay up there for a week.
Yeah, I mean that's really
He wants to ride the sim up there, is what he said.
Damn.
okay. As someday, in a time where Phil, Dustin, and Shane can actually get together on the same night, we're going to record the Moto Stories, where we talk about taking the Simba and the buddy on the Dragon. So we took Simba and two buddies on the Dragon, the fucking Dragon,
Perfect bikes for it.
and had
honestly.
the best time
right.
fucking ever,
Oh, yeah.
right? And we did, and like you said, go to Americade. We drove around all of the roads of northern North Carolina and Tennessee, southern Tennessee, on a 125cc buddy, 180cc buddy because it was kitted to within an inch of its life, and a bone stock Simba. And we had more fun than we should have had.
That's what I say. You see guys show up on bikes like this.
Yeah.
They can't get out of first gear.
No.
They're like, this sucks.
No.
You're fucking winging through all the
Railing the piss out of it
yeah.
because the bike weighs less than my first date.
Right. And if you go down, you're not really concerned about going down. So you're going to ride harder. I've noticed that when you see Grom groups or scooter groups or something, they rail way harder than not everybody, but like 90% of sport bikes and all the other bikes. Yeah.
Better to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow. We
100%.
we know the James May
Yep.
rule, right?
Yep.
And it makes perfect goddamn sense. And yeah, you tell me I'm going to go out on the Dragon with the fucking tires that are on your Simba, and we're going to go out and have a good time. I'm out and I've got a fairly respectable amount of safety gear on because I know that, one, these are roads that I'm going to be leaning the bike on.
Sure.
Two, as I found out, the foot pegs don't fold. And that's an interesting thing. And we may talk about that later. So but it is I think that having a slow bike or something like that and going on some crazy fucking twisty road, you're right. Take that fucking thing to Adirondack.
I took my monkey last year and
we all
rode
did,
and rode 1,200 miles.
Yeah. I mean,
not when we were up there, but prior to that, I rode 1,200 miles and I had more fun than anything.
Absolutely.
And this thing's faster than the monkey.
Exactly. So everything that was fun last year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The Simba. Okay.
It's 100 cc's and it's faster than...
No. Okay, but tell the folks, the Simba, the SYM Simba, has one ace up its sleeve that this bike doesn't have. What's the ace up its sleeve?
It's got a ceramic coated cylinder with like ultra low friction. It's like 1/10 of the friction of any other cylinder out there.
What? Wow.
Yeah. So if you get into these specialized coatings, SYM a long time ago decided it would be fun to put ceramic coated pistons in their fucking scooters. So if you get on an HD 200, an SYM HD 200,
Or an RV 250.
or an RV 250, right? These are not high-end, cutting-edge, fucking super high-techy, whatever bullshit bikes. You know, the HD 200 is a fucking carbureted bike, but it's liquid-cooled, and it's got a fucking ceramic piston, ceramic-coated piston. Do you know what it is? I'll say it. It's retard strong.
The RV 250's got more horsepower. If you have it's like a reflex. I mean, it looks like a
It
reflex.
looks like a reflex.
It's like a, almost like a.
But it'll do one thing a reflex won't do.
Go fast.
90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Damn.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, it'll do 90 with my wife on the back,
Yep.
and that's like between the two of us, that's like 500 pounds. So I mean,
No, fair
seriously.
dinkum. Like,
Damn.
not
Your
bullshitting
wife is
around.
like 100. You're saying you're 400 pounds?
No,
I weigh 270.
He's 270,
Your
right?
wife's not. Your wife is not that. She's
Steve, back away. Don't ever talk about a woman's weight for more than
No.
3 seconds.
I'm saying she is a light.
Even when you're trying to help.
Okay.
Even when you're trying to help.
I'm done.
Don't force him to make a misstatement he might regret later.
Right.
Yeah, my wife weighs 100 pounds.
Hook
Okay?
a brother up.
It was the luggage. It was the luggage. It was all the luggage.
Hook a brother up, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
The more you talk, the bigger his doghouse.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. That was the luggage. I get it.
Yeah. So, but
That's
there's
pretty
something
cool.
insane about that. And we took the sim out, and the sim ran faster than a fully 180cc kitted out buddy on the factory 110 top.
Thought it was
end.
going to be the other way around.
Yeah, exactly. So
And that's stock, and you could put
It's
you could
actually
put
100 cc's,
One
yeah.
key, you could put
Who
one
built the buddy?
extra tooth in the front. You could do some other stuff
Technically
to make
everybody.
it faster. But,
Take advantage of the power
motherfucker's
that it
got a lot
has.
of fathers.
That's cool.
It was Dustin.
but they also run much cooler too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of advantages to it. It runs cooler. It produces more power.
Right.
It produces more power than the Honda 125. But I mean, of course, the Honda is built to
So what's
last.
the down? So
Yeah,
why
why
other
are-
companies are not doing
Right.
the?
Because if they're
ceramic
selling
coatings?
such a cheap,
fucking expensive.
but if they were doing that on such a cheap bike, then they must have figured something out, right?
Well, SYM decided that was the hill they were going to die on. So SYM decided so that when it came down to, and this is for real, if you want to go, if you like, look at the time machine, go back in the time machine, go back into my shop circa 2010 or something, right? And you're going to be on my
Nice job,
showroom
Oscar.
floor, and you're going to be looking at a SYM HD 200 sitting right next to a Kimco People 200S.
Right.
They both have big wheels. They both have 16-inch front wheels. They both look like a scooter with giraffe hormones, right? Right? The difference is one of them will go 60 miles an hour. The other one will go 75. Right? And I can look every customer square in the face and say, okay, the Kimco has an air-cooled 200. The Sim has a liquid-cooled 200 with a ceramic piston. And they go, what does that mean? And I go, what it means is it's fucking scary how fast this motherfucker is. Like, I had no problem taking an HD 200 on the freeway 75 miles an hour and just holding it wide open. No problem with a carburetor. And
I went from New Hampshire
yeah.
it was getting dark. We were in New Hampshire. We wanted to get back to Speculator. And it was like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
Full throttle from New Hampshire all the way back to Speculator. I mean,
On the RV 250.
On the RV 250.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was with my wife with both of us on it. And she was squeezing me so tight because she was so afraid because we were doing like almost 90.
And you're on 12-inch wheels on that
Yeah.
bike.
Yeah.
Right.
14. I think they're 14.
I think it's a 14.
Do you
in the
still
front
have
and
it, or
12 in
what
the
happened
back.
to it?
Oh yeah, I love that thing.
Yeah, RV 250s.
I bought 5 of them.
Yeah,
I mean, I have
they
to
were
love them.
so they were outdated when they came out because they were carbureted. So it was a carbureted 250, liquid cooled carbureted 250. But here's the magic. From a resale standpoint, it's the greatest bike ever. When it gets to 6,000 miles on the odometer, it automatically resets to 0. Not a lot of people know that.
What?
Yeah. So there was a problem with the Sim RV 250s. So the Sim RV 250s had a mechanical problem in the speedometer, right? So the speedometer was fucked up somehow. And so you'd get to 6,000 miles and it would just blip back to 0.
Shit.
Yeah, not too bad. A lot of low mileage RV 250s out there. Yeah. Yeah, a whole lot of low mileage.
Does it ever go
But
over
they
6,000?
last.
No, never.
Never. Yeah. You'll never see one with 8,000 miles on it because it'll just be back to 0 again.
The belts must be like steel too, because
Again,
They
this
almost
is
never wear
this
out.
is an example of a bike that was incredibly well engineered
Over-engineered.
that we don't sell anymore. So, or that we don't get anymore. But again, ceramic
Sim's
line
still
piston.
out there in the world?
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah, but they're
Do you know what it stands for? Anyone?
Sanyang Motors.
Sanyang Motor Company. That's right. Sanyang
Aren't
Motor
they
Company.
like they're like Kimco's?
They
like,
were partnered up with Kwanyang Motor Company, Kimco. Yeah, so that was exactly it. So Kwanyang and Sanyang, that was their jam. Oh, so I wanted to talk for just one brief moment about motorcycle hauling vehicles, just because this is the time of the year when I like to haul motorcycles around.
Sure.
And occasionally something on Facebook will pop up and it will give me a boner that I can't see around.
Oh yeah, this thing.
And so,
I can't see her.
I fucking, you guys know I love hearses. I'm just a hearse kind of guy. I've always enjoyed a hearse.
I thought you love flower cars even more.
Now, but here's the trick about flower cars. So the problem with flower cars, for people don't know, a flower car is a Cadillac that's designed to take the flowers to the funeral where they're going to be putting, to the cemetery.
Yeah.
Right. And so the idea behind a flower car is it's usually El Dorado that's been lightly massaged into sort of an El Camino simply by chopping off the entire back of it. But the problem with a flower car is the back of a flower car does not have a tailgate. And in order to put motorcycles into the back of a vehicle, there must be a tailgate. We all know this. And so with a flower car, the back of the car is still a Cadillac. The back of the car does not fold down. If you want to put a motorcycle into a flower car, you take out all the stainless steel where the flowers go, and you have to hoist your motorcycle in the air and magically drop it into the back. However, the Cadillac Mirage, very limited production, coach builder special, is a Cadillac Eldorado that just happens to have a fucking tailgate. So you can actually, just like the back of a fucking 66 Impala, or a 59 Impala, which had the beautiful, artful sideways fins on it, that beautiful, artful sideways fins did fold down to be a tailgate, as impossible as that seems. But it is only the Cadillac Mirage that had an actual functioning rear tailgate. So you could put motorcycles in the back of that bitch. Now, you guys know I used to have a 69 El Camino that was completely done. And of course, this is an El Camino, but with Cadillac.
With a 500.
Yeah, with a 500 in it. Yeah, with a front wheel drive 500 in it. So, but anyway, so that's what this is. 27,900 miles, but god damn it, $20,000 fucking dollars. Yeah. But it is beautiful. I mean, the hood is longer than the back.
Yeah.
Which is completely unnecessary, right? I mean, it is a horrible, wretched excuse of a motor vehicle. It is the purely most American thing ever.
It's got spoker wheels.
It does have spoke hubcaps for sure.
I bet you. I bet you if you took that flamed out Harley over there,
my Springer,
and said, "Hey, buddy,
yeah, I'll trade you a Springer for this Cadillac Mirage." Yeah. And I mean, it's not even like it's perfect. It's got like Shriner logos and shit on the back of it. I can't really read exactly what that says, but it's like to a king's
Make America.
tail or something, right? Yeah. Anyway, but anyway, that's what's on the back of it. Anyhow, I just love.
Just wait a year, the guy will be dead.
That's true. Yeah.
That's how
The state will sell it at $5,000.
That's a KK Cadillac to me.
Oh, okay.
Crowd's eating this up.
I'm warming up to it.
That's in Pennsylvania?
KK Cadillac.
Pennsylvania?
Yeah. It's in West Newton, PA. That's right.
definitely.
Pennsylvania.
It's in Pennsylvania for sure. Yeah, there you go. That must be a good bottle. It sounded really good when you opened it.
You gotta lift the hood up to change the oil. The guys are like,
You get it. So it's got all white leather Mukau interior. And it probably has two hoods in the glove box. Yeah. Matching hoods in the glove box. Yeah.
Clayton Bigsby used to own it.
I wish they made a Mooglide Cadillac like that.
A Mooglide? Yeah. Well, they do make a Mooglide seat for your Simba.
They do?
I might even have one here. They made a bench seat for your Simba that had cow print on the side of it. And I bought one. I had one for a while.
If you have it, I'll buy it.
We'll have to ask Renee if it's still here. It's the same bench seat you have, but it was like they did them in black and white, and they did them in the black was with a Holstein cow print.
Well, that would go good on my red sim my red Simba.
Oh, that's right. You have two Simbas. Holy shit. Oh, that's fucking hilarious. Anyway, I thought that'd
An
be fun.
embarrassment of wealth.
So, gentlemen, let's talk, if we will, about us. And like you said, that Cadillac will probably be available very shortly for about $1,000 because what? The guy who thinks it's worth $20,000 is going to start pushing up daisies, right? and thanks to
He wasn't going to until we just changed his fate by calling him out as dead.
No, he's been driving his C4 Corvette with Cam.
yeah, exactly. I was going to say.
So he's obviously 80 years old.
I've looked around the pictures of the rest of this guy's garage. He didn't get a vaccine.
Yeah, no.
I'm just going to say the odds are not in his favor, right? What he's got going on in that garage has a wall unit air conditioner. You know, see that right there? That's a wall unit air conditioner in about a 3,000 square foot garage, which tells me that man does not understand dimensional BTU dynamics. Like that guy's making that. Is he making that 1982? That looks like a Frigidaire.
And he's got the asbestos gum dispenser.
Yes, he does. Yes, he
I
does.
have a wall unit in my garage.
Your garage is 1/3 of the size of that fucking thing.
Okay, I feel better now.
Yeah, your garage is okay for your size air conditioner. This guy.
Do you have a tank of medical oxygen there?
I'm going to say, if you look in the background, the background is a giant GMC pickup truck, a Cub Cadet tractor, right? And some kind of other big GM with the side marker light in the back corner there. So I often, when I look at people's cars for sale, I always look at the garage that it's in.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, first of all, important thing about this garage, dirt floor.
Yep.
Yep, dirt floor.
Yep.
So dirt floor, but still a garage door opener.
Are those back little windows blue, though?
They are. They're tinted
It's a
blue.
pole barn, though.
They're tinted blue. You think that's a pole barn?
It's a pole barn for sure.
Okay.
Look at the keep
cross
going.
members? All right, I'll keep going.
right there.
Yeah. All right.
Across the top there?
No, it looks
Okay.
like that wall looks like
Oh yeah, the wood.
post with the
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. And he's got a chain fall in there. So he's got a big chain fall hanging off that I-beam. So anyway, I digress. So what has happened, and this is something that in our industry, like in the stuff that I do for a living, I wouldn't be able to do my job nearly as effectively as I do it if old white men didn't die. But before they die, I got to say, people in the medical field will call it a death rattle. You know, they'll be like, you know, they're just before they go, you know,
They got to sell everything.
or in the case of this little piece of fucking candy right here, the elephant, the actual
I was gonna
elephant
ask about
in the
the elephant
fucking
in the
room.
They have to buy everything right before they die.
Yeah. So
Too slow. Sorry.
that's okay. I'm warming up.
I'm not getting paid today.
I know. I'm not.
Yeah. So this is not the first time in my life that I have had what can only be described as a redonkulous motorcycle, like a fucking stupid motorcycle, end up in my life because of an old white man. Right? So what I'm leaning my arm against is a 2012 Kawasaki ZX 1400R Ninja.
You know what you couldn't do? If that was a Hayabusa,
Yeah.
you couldn't lean your arm on it because it would be very uncomfortable.
Slide right off. Right.
So that just proves that bike is stupid.
Superior. Well, this is superior.
Right.
Right. Because it has a place for me to lean my arm.
Does that lift up?
It does. There's a seat under there for a human being.
Oh.
Yeah. So it has rear pegs and everything. Completely practical. Completely functional sport touring motorcycle. 207 horsepowers advertised. 197 horsepowers confirmed by Cycle World's dyno. And faster by anybody who chose to ride it in the quarter mile than the Hayabusa. The official Hayabusa killer. Okay.
They didn't market it right, though.
Well, or did they?
Well, I wonder how many. I bet you 100 Hayabusas sold for every one of these.
I think that has to do with. I think that has to do more with. I think that has to do more
Liability.
with. I think
Urban
that has
culture.
more to do with urban culture.
Yeah, I think
and
so,
that's
too.
the nicest way to put it. Right? I think that has to do with. Bobby's got a Hayabusa, so I have to have a Hayabusa.
Right.
Because when this thing came out, certainly by 2012, where this one is, longer swing arm, more horsepower, etc., it was just giving it to the Hayabusa in every orifice. I mean, this was it. Now, top speed is useless. It does us no good to talk about top speed because of a gentleman's agreement where all these manufacturers decided that 300 kilometers per hour, 186 miles per hour, was going to be the agreed upon limited top speed for these motorcycles.
Sure.
And up until the Kawasaki H2 showed up, this was it.
Right.
So the Kawasaki was displaced by another Kawasaki.
What size chain does it have? Do you know?
I don't know.
I'm just saying to handle 1400. No, yeah, it's got to be something.
So was this converted into the KZ 1400
Pretty big.
replacement for the Concourse
So yeah,
1000?
so the Concourse uses this
That
power
platform.
plant. Exactly, this power
Yeah.
plant. Yeah, so the power plant of this does end up in the Concourse. And again, Kawasaki, if you take a look at the side of this motorcycle, there's these big slabs on the side that are black. You're going to see that same sort of thing ends up on the Concourse. So Kawasaki is saying, like, if it has this big, diagonal stripes on the side of it, these big slabs, that's our 1400, and that's not with which to be fucked.
Because people love the shit out of those 1400
Yes,
Concourse.
they do. And if I could press a button and make this bike more comfortable,
Yeah.
I would. Because if I could take this motor and put it in a Concourse, because the thing about this bike that I will never use is everything above 125 miles per hour. There's no reason for it to exist. Now, getting to that speed, it is literally insane. It is absolute fucking... Nobody should ever have 200 horsepower in a motorcycle. Completely. This is not fly-by-wire. This is an actual, it's fuel-injected system, but its traction control system is literally, full or restricted. So full means fucking full.
Is that the K? It's the same thing as my Z900.
KTRS.
KTR, whatever.
It's the exact same system on your Z900,
Yep.
which means that if you press the restricted level, that it takes the power down after 6,500 RPMs.
Mine keeps it from wheeling over 3 inches.
Well, that's the traction control system. So that has 1, 2, 3, and off.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, and 3 all adjust how much wheelie they'll let you have.
Gotcha.
Right? That's exactly what they do.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, and off. Off.
You're fucked.
Just go murder yourself right now.
Right.
And then various degrees of how much wheelie it lets you have for
Right.
1, 2, 3. But the power mode, where it literally gives you all the power or restricted amounts of power. And all this is one button press on the left hand grip. It's not extremely complicated.
Nope.
Because this bike doesn't have a throttle by wire, it's not a fly by wire system. It loses on it doesn't have the option of just being like, oh, cruise control. Of course, it's standard. That electric motor scooter I sold to the person earlier today, that had fucking cruise control on it for an electric scooter that goes 45 miles an hour. This does not have cruise control because it's not fly by wire, right? This doesn't have certain features because it's not fly by wire. And because of that, its amount of fine tuning that it can do through various traction controls, it can't do. Right? It just doesn't do it because the engineers decided that since it was just a quarter-mile drag bike in DOT legal clothing, that it didn't need to have those things because that's not why people were buying it. Right. People bought it because out of the crate and factory trim, it went from 0 to a quarter mile in 9.30 seconds. So that's why people bought it. And it did that faster than any other motorcycle you could buy. How fast did it go? 186 miles an hour. Why? Because that's where we decided to stop allowing people to go. Does it go 218? Does it go 212? Does it go 203? If we de-restricted it and took that barrier out, how fast would it go? And the answer is, apparently we're not allowed to find out. Or apparently...
Communists.
I know, they're taking our liberties. Taking my liberties, man. Next thing you know, they're coming for my boots.
Right. What I can tell you is that 155 miles an hour comes up way too fast.
Yeah.
And that at 155 miles per hour, it's completely fucking stable.
Even Russian cars aren't, and motorcycles aren't speed limited. Do you see I'm putting a restriction of 186 miles an hour on my Ural?
No. There are no speed restrictors on your Ural except for the Ural. Right. The whole thing is one big speed restrictor.
I'm sorry. Did you mention what you thought might be restricting it? Like this?
It's the ECU.
It's the ECU.
Yeah, it's the ECU. It's pretty common. And of course, I don't need to tell our podcast listeners that for $314, you can purchase the solution to making it go as fast as it can go.
Right now,
Right.
two-wheel dyno tuners have a special for $234.
Oh, there you go. All right. Perfect. So then you can buy from Two-Wheel Dyno Tuners.
The other
you
good
can make
news-
it go as fast as you want it to go.
The other good news is at 186 miles an hour, the traffic cams don't work.
I don't think they do.
And with if you can get two-wheel dyno tuners to give you 188, you can go back in time.
You go back in time. Yeah, and then that's exactly it. I mean, the motorcycle weighs 593 pounds, right? So it's 593 pounds. It holds damn near 6 gallons of gas because you're not going to be sipping on it.
No, I was going to say, it gets about 18 miles to the gallon.
It does not get good mileage, right? And nor would we expect it to get good mileage because it's fucking ridiculous. I mean, it is ridiculous. It's just fucking bonkers. It's a bonkers motorcycle. There's no possible... Now, here's what's crazy. The bike in front of you is a 2012. So 2012 is the year that they kind of made them faster. Mm-hmm. So up until 2012, they were, you could argue that it was similar to a Hayabusa. But after 2012, game's over. It's not similar to a Hayabusa anymore. It's faster. Now, like you said, marketing, everyone still says Hayabusa, 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 stretch swing arm, Hayabusa, etc.
Because they don't like Kawasaki's.
Well,
I think it had to do with the bodywork, though,
It did.
too. I don't think they nailed it for the market they were trying to hit.
yeah. Whereas the Hayabusa went after it and said, we're going aerodynamics. If it ends up looking like a Beetle you stepped on, we're okay with that.
Plus, they like big butts.
And they cannot
Cannot
lie.
So the Hayabusa's got that big ass chunky ass.
Absolutely fucking true. So for this motorcycle, when this motorcycle came out, the only thing that beat this motorcycle was a supercharged H2.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that beat it was another Kawasaki.
But you know what else is crazy?
With more technology.
You know what else
What's it
is
sound like? Like a big bore 4-cylinder?
Well, if you look up at the image, because again, I think this is hilarious. This motorcycle that's right here sitting with us in the room is still available at your Kawasaki dealer. It's not a discontinued model. They didn't bring out the H2 and go, okay, boys, that's enough of the ZX14R. Or in Europe, they call it a ZZR14, right? So ZZR14R. They didn't say, okay.
It's got a beard and it's got a really long beard.
It's got a long beard. So they didn't get rid of it when the H2 and H2R came out. They just kept building it for some strange reason that nobody fucking understands.
Oh, it's what Kawasaki does. We've already got the tooling. We've already designed the bike.
Yep.
We're making them. What does it take to just keep popping
Keep
them out?
popping them out.
As long as somebody will buy a minimum amount of them.
That's
Coming
exactly
out of the
right.
Suzuki factory.
Yep. Maybe, probably not.
When they have a year when nobody buys one,
right.
they'll stop.
But you
So
know what?
throw the 1400 Concourse up on top of that because you'll see how similar they look. Too.
Right. Oh, they do.
And
Yeah,
they might
do.
still be
Yeah.
selling a lot of the concourses, so it's like, well, for selling.
But you know
the
what?
Concourse and
Selling
we're
a
building the
shitload
motor.
of those. Yeah.
This
We're
is
still building that motor. We might as well have this one. It's just, a little cheaper.
So yeah, so now they got
But-
two different.
if
models.
you step back for a second and take the last like 15 years of these bikes into consideration, this is a marketing exercise. Like you can learn a lot because Honda had the Blackbird XX, which was faster than the Hayabusa. Kawasaki had this bike, which was faster than
Actually,
the Hayabusa.
I will take you backwards on that. So
When it first came out,
so Honda had the Blackbird
right?
in our podcast. By the way, I'm doing this for you guys, for the podcast listeners, for you nerds out there, for you nerds. This is all
Was
for
it
you.
first before?
This is all for you. So the Blackbird, the Super Blackbird,
Right.
was
XX.
first.
Oh, okay.
Okay? The Super Blackbird. The reason Hayabusa was called the Hayabusa is
it's
because
'cause
the breed of peregrine
You're
falcon
right, you're right.
feeds on blackbirds.
But my point,
Motherfuckers, seriously, come on, guys.
but my point is still
Fucking
valid.
Lord of the Rings and shit.
My point is
Yeah.
still valid.
Yeah. Here, it's totally
Somehow,
valid.
somehow,
Like the White Raja.
somehow Suzuki,
Feeds on.
figured out the marketing plan.
Yeah.
That it took out the Blackbird, which
Yeah.
is faster.
Right.
It took this bike out, which is faster. Nobody talks about these bikes.
Right.
And the Hayabusa is not that great. It's a nice bike, but it's not. I don't know. It's somehow they nailed it. Somehow they ingrained it into.
I always wanted a Blackbird.
Me too. I thought the Blackbird.
Yeah,
I thought the Blackbird was beautiful.
Me too.
I thought the lines of the Blackbird were beautiful, and many times I've had the opportunity to buy a very inexpensive Hayabusa, and we have a few Hayabusas that we service here at the shop. And I have a problem with the Hayabusa, and that is when I look at it, I feel like what I'm looking at is an anime motorcycle that somebody threw some fizzy toys inside of, and it overinflated. Right? I feel like the Hayabusa had just had the cord pulled on the emergency life raft that it swallowed, like a Jaws movie. You know? And that's the problem to me, is the way the Hayabusa looks.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
It looks a little blimpy.
Where does the Hurricane fit in there?
Does that show the MSRP?
The Hurricane was
It can. I would think so.
Blackbird,
Let's find out.
Which is also
Let's find
very
out.
fast.
Yeah, that's what I always wanted. One of those.
15.7.
I know we're one.
Because the other one was 15,995.
Right, exactly.
So-
So here's the concourse, because Chris has had very good luck with concourse or concours in his life, and so today available still for many fucking years. For many years, this concourse 14 platform has been available. And it's been out a long time. I mean, this thing is a motorcycle that's long in the tooth. But why? Because people fucking keep buying it.
Well, what do you need to change on it?
Nothing.
You showed me the one thing that needs to
Nothing.
be changed. Does
Yeah.
it need more horsepower?
Right.
Hell no.
Hell fucking
Does
no.
it? What
Right.
does it need to? It
Right.
doesn't need anything.
Yeah.
It's refined.
Doesn't need shit.
Until something better comes along. You know what? It probably needs a touchscreen.
Right.
It needs more electronics.
It needs more mid-range power.
Yep. And now there are some things that are different. So the motor in the concourse is a 1352. So in 2012, when the ZX 1400 got an upgrade for some power, it went from 1352 up to 1441. So it's technically, the bike is a 1441, but it still calls itself a 1400, because when your dick is 14 inches long, you don't brag about the extra quarter inch.
And
Right?
it's shaft drive too, though, right?
Yeah, shaft drive.
Shaft drive.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Shaft drive. But anyway, again, what do we say? Tuned for mid-range, right? So tuned for mid-range. So it is, but every single person we know, including like the first dude that I ever met when we were down at the Kentucky Kickdown, or we're down riding through the woods in Kentucky, a dude showed up and he's like, dude, the Kawasaki Concourse 1400 is the world's greatest motorcycle. And he's not kidding. It is the world's greatest motorcycle. It's fucking awesome.
Well, take one in on trade for fuck's sake.
I know. I can't get somebody to come off one, right?
Nobody talked about this when we were talking about the world's best top 10 bikes ever.
Well, again, and also apparently overlooked. But you see the styling feature about the stripes on the side. You see the styling feature about the stripes on the side. So here's what gets kooky. So I live in a weird world. A lot of shit darkens my door. And what's really fucking funny and what's really hilarious is this guy shows up, and when I tell you we take appointments at my shop, we are not just walking the fucking door. You got to have an appointment. And the guy called up, set up an appointment, said he wanted to come and wanted to take a look at some different motor scooters. Good enough. Shows up and he's riding this motorcycle. Doesn't make a big deal about it. Doesn't be like, parks it, plays music, fanfare, whatever comes out, look at my bike. None of that shit. He just basically quietly walks in the showroom and has me show him the Kymco AK550, has me show him various different high-powered scooters we have. I show him your old BV500. I show him the BV350. He says, scooter, freeway capable, done. That's what he wants. Okay. Explains how he's getting a little older. He wants a bike that's lighter. Getting a little older, wants a bike that isn't going to treat him as rough. Okay, that's cool. Long and short of it is, he gravitates towards a Kymco X-Town 300.
Good bike.
Right?
Solid
Which
bike.
is a fine bike. Look, I sell a fucking shit ton of them. I'm not going to say anything bad about that bike. It's a solid bike.
Yeah.
It's a good bike. It's a Chinese-built bike. That's why the price is so low. It's not, the AK550, which is a $10,000 bike.
Right.
It's half of that. It's literally half of that money. It's a fine bike. Look it up. It's a solid, legit fucking bike. But here's the trick with it.
It's no RV250.
honestly, it won't keep up with an RV250. As much as I would like to be like, yeah, there's the Kimco X-Town, right? So there's what it is. That's a Kimco X-Town. And we have this long discussion, and he never, ever, at any point, lets on that his intentions today are to trade this bike in. He's going to do that thing that Oprah tells you to do, which is you make your best possible deal, and then you talk about the trade.
Oprah.
That's one of her favorite techniques. But again,
How much do you want for that 5-gallon bucket of food?
So what happens is we're discussing all the different bikes, and he's like, well, I would really like to come in a straight across trade. I'd like to do a straight across trade. And I'm like, for what? And he goes, well, for the bike I rode here on. And I went outside. I hadn't looked out the window yet at this point. And from the front of this motor, it just looks, from the motorcycle, just looks like a Matrix version 3. It looks like the animals that were attacking things, in the Matrix. And I was like, is that a ZX 1400? And he's like, it is. And I says, that's a 2012 ZX 1400 because they came in green. They came in blue, they came in black, and they came in green, which was a $200 upcharge because the green had like ghost flames on it. Which again,
didn't hold up.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like ghost flames, especially not ghost flame stickers,
Not from the factory.
Never from the factory. No. So is blue, I'm not a big fan of blue motorcycles, but what the fuck? And I was like, I went out and looked at it. He's the original owner. He bought this brand new in 2012. Huh. Got brand new tires on it. And what's missing on it is the one thing that I've always hated about these bikes. And I mean, when I say hate, I fucking hated about these bikes.
The giant exhaust?
With the factory exhaust. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The factory exhaust on this motorcycle were just ridiculous. They were fucking 7.5 feet long and 73 inches in diameter.
And 120 pounds altogether.
Oh my God, it's a ridiculous thing. Like the factory exhaust on this bike didn't end until like 3 minutes after the bike was over.
That's the first thing I point out to sleepers. Like, what the fuck happened to those pipes? They do not look stock.
No,
I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it drew my attention really fast.
$450 worth of Kaufman's made in America, ridiculous, illegal in any country or state or planet, excuses for mufflers because they don't muffle. They do nothing. They are basically somewhere you can point when the cop pulls you over and go, I tried. Right?
Can we fire it up?
Your stick,
Fire it up? Yeah,
your nightstick
absolutely.
will
You want
not.
to fire it up? Not that. No.
Your nightstick will not fit through here.
No, your nightstick won't fit through. I'm going to go ahead and do it just for the hell of it. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll see. I can't predict what this is going to sound like. I can't predict if we're all going to choke to death and die. But I'll fire it up for the hell of it. We're here.
It already has the tank lock ring on it.
It does. So, we'll talk. Yeah, anyway. Pretty quiet.
That's pretty good.
That's good.
Oh, God.
That's it. No, I'm not going to let you do that.
Oh, you broke it.
It does that. We had enough of that. We're all going to die now. Because that's still on open loop.
And you know when you own this bike at 7 in the morning on the way to work, you have to do that when you first start it.
Yep.
You have to
warm
make
it up.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, for the record, that my neighbors would hate that.
Yeah.
So my first day driving it home, take the bike in on trade, whatever.
It blew all the sales tags for the bikes behind it, like back.
Yeah, it's loud. It is loud.
Ooh, I love that smell.
But
Sounds good, though.
Well, that is 94 octane. But
Here's full tank? Do you sell it with a full tank?
No. Fuck, thank you for pointing that out. Holy shit. This thing came in with 1 ounce of gas in it. This guy totally knew what he was going to do.
I like this guy.
Yeah, and I was so careful. I went out, I crawled all over this thing, up, down, sideways. I mean, I went all over it. I was like, look, if this thing has got the factory exhaust taken off, and this guy's in his 70s, right, then it must have been crashed. There's just no two ways about it. There's no way that this bike isn't crashed. So I crawled all over it. I mean, I was going all fucking over this thing, trying to prove that it was crashed. Because, of course, there's got to be a reason he's willing to trade a 200 horsepower motorcycle in for a 26 horsepower scooter.
Well, it's
right?
easy. It's called somebody cut him off when he was going 120, and he was like, I don't need this anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if he's ever gone 120 on it, but anywho, but I did take it home, and when I pulled in my driveway at my house, like in the back by the garage, I pulled in, and usually, you know, Merritt always plays the game of like, what's Phil riding based on the sound that goes past the house when I pull in the driveway. So I pull in the driveway, and I get back to the garage, and I just did one of those, you know, I did just one.
Yeah.
Not that. And she came out of the house.
Yeah.
Which just proves
Yep.
women do respond to certain things on a core level, on a visceral, spiritual level. And
I know what you mean when I ride that Simba.
when the first time I did a wheelie on the Kawasaki H2, the old H2, the 74, the first time I did a wheelie in front of Merritt on the H2, she was like, we're going to go fuck now. Like that was it. She saw me ride a wheelie down the street on the H2 and she was like, I don't want to admit what that's doing to my loins right now.
Really?
So, but the only difference between you and me is that she says now, and my wife says off.
Fuck off. So I made that loud noise and it actually drew my wife out of the house. So effective, right? So, but here's my question, and this is my question, because this is not the first ridiculously high-powered motorcycle.
You leave it sitting around, she'll be driving it to school the next day.
Fuck yeah, you know she will.
Yeah.
She hasn't done it yet.
And pass the fire department later.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey boys, how's your hose?
Exactly. Great for my fucking wife to end up on this bike. She stole my fucking Super Huck, so we know that she's capable of it. And this bike's actually probably easier to ride than the Super Huck. So here's the question, because not that long ago, we had a BMW K1200 RS here at the shop. We had that gray bike with the expandable luggage and the whole deal.
Yep.
That's another motorcycle that would hold its head high at 160, 170 miles per hour.
Sure.
Another motorcycle that I purchased from the previous owner who had downgraded or side graded to a scooter, who was also in his 70s. Now, in both cases,
That's a bad age.
if we take the age of these persons, right? We take the age of this guy.
140 now we're up to.
Well, yeah.
I don't think that's the
You can
question.
add them
but
together, divide by 3 and cut the rings, count the rings.
So how much do you want for that $2,000 Moto Guzzi?
Moto Guzzi, you got it. So my question is, so this guy, I mean, having bought the bike from him and having listened to his story and everything else, I can tell you that, you know, this guy bought this bike. I mean, he became the owner of this bike when he was 65 years old.
Yeah, that's still.
Okay. So he was 65 years old when he bought this bike.
First bike?
No,
Hope not.
no, not his first bike. But that BMW that we had, that K1200 RS that we had, that bike came in similar number of miles, you know, give or take 8,000 miles on an 8-year-old bike, right? And on a buyer who was probably 64 years old when he bought it. Also an expensive bike. You know, that's the top of the BMW food chain at that era. So these bikes were equally expensive. You know, in the BMW is actually more expensive, probably around 21, 22,000. This we know is about $17,000, you know, 17 and a half. But they're both considered to be, well, this one's not considered to be, this one factually is, this is the fastest motorcycle you could have bought in 2012 and was the fastest motorcycle in the world until the H2 came along, the supercharged H2.
Quickest? I mean, because if they're
Yes,
limited,
and zero-
quickest. Yeah.
Quickest being a quarter mile, covers a quarter mile in the least human period of time, which is funny because this goes from 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds, which is faster than a 0. So the 0 is, and it's also faster than a Tesla. So it is a very quick motorcycle. It's also a very fast motorcycle in so much that it goes 100.
What's the H2 do? The new H2.
What would you like to know?
Yeah.
Which
0
what?
to 60.
I don't know. Let's look it up. Yeah.
Because it's just interesting.
Well, getting back to the 65-year-old on the KZ 14.
So, do you have a joke for us, Chris?
So I'm kind of, so my question is this. This is my query. Like, this is what I want to know. What is it about being a 65-year-old guy that says, I'm going to buy the most expensive, no, strike that, the most powerful,
Fastest.
or the fastest motorcycle in the world. I'm going to buy, like, what is that?
I'm the only 65-year-old here.
You're close enough, right?
And you just bought that Janus this year, which is pretty much one of the fastest motorcycles. So
65 is the new 45.
There you go. Yep. So I am curious about that. So apparently, according to specs, Kawasaki H2 fastestlaps.com says that the H2 goes from 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds, which is slower than this does. Right?
wow, really?
When you ask that question, I
Yeah.
have a lot of other questions
Yeah.
I want to ask. Like, what other bikes did this guy have before he bought this?
Good
Yep.
question.
Did he just go, is this the only bike this guy has ever had? I guarantee
Probably not.
No way.
Yep.
No way this guy didn't just go out and buy this.
No.
I think he had ridden other bikes. He's had some bikes. He probably had some fast bikes. He's had his time. And he's like, you know what?
Last bike.
Fuck it.
This is
Yeah.
I'm buying something fucking ridiculous. I'm 65-year-old. I don't give a fuck. If I kill myself on this thing, Valhalla.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
That's it.
But
And then he got it. He rode it. He did it. And he's like, you know what? It's not very comfortable. And I haven't killed myself yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
kills
I
my
lived
fucking
longer
back.
than I
look,
thought.
Look at these bars being
So-
down over the top.
So I just looked it up real quick because you were asking about the H2.
Sure.
So it looks like based on various sources, but according to Kawasaki's own website, they say that the Kawasaki H2 does 0 to 60 in 2.6.
Oh,
Okay. And they say the quarter mile is 962, which is actually slower than this.
wow.
So, and then nobody talks about the H2 gets through the quarter mile at 152 miles per hour, and this one gets through the quarter mile at 153 miles per hour.
Well, there you go.
All right. So,
So was he
anyway.
a drag racer?
What? Who?
The 70-year-old.
No evidence to suggest that he was. In fact, what's really weird is he did come in and he said that he had also already had a Bergman 400. So the Bergman 400, and I can tell you a lot about Bergman 400s. We
0
work
to
on them
60
here.
and
Not so great.
Did he live in Fairview?
No, he didn't. But
Okay.
he did come in. He did come in from quite a distance to do the deal. But a Bergman 400, the difference between a Bergman 400 and Kimco X-Town 300 is everything. A Bergman 400 does not like to corner. In fact, I would argue to say that it can't corner. Whereas the X-Town 300 actually corners really fucking well. Kimco tends to build their bikes to a cornering, like performance is critical with Kimco. Kimco is very careful that they don't build bikes that are slugs. And the Bergman is a couch. I mean, it is like if the Bergman came with a little ottoman that you dragged behind it, I'd be like, yep, there you go.
Plus,
that's an upgrade.
they sat there and they're like, "What's the name of this bike?" And they're like, "What can we call it?" And they all looked at it and they said, "Bergman."
Bergman.
And it fucking fits.
Somebody had a meeting in Bergman 1.
Yeah.
And you're like, and after you ride them, you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Barco Lounger was taken.
Right.
Yeah, it's true. It is the softest bike I've ever met. So it is an interesting thing. And that's, so just kind of that thing is, the H2 apparently is 197 horsepower, and this was ranked at 207 horsepower. Whatever.
Let's step back. I
Yeah.
want to go back to the marketing meeting. Like people are sitting there and like, we got this new high-powered scooter. It goes 85 miles an hour. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
It takes 6 weeks to get there, but it's a fucking 85.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
How about the Avalon? No. How about the Jetstream? No. How about the Bergman? And there was
And somebody went,
yeah.
that'll do.
Yeah, let's do that.
No, Bergman, go out to get us lunch. Perfect
Apparently-
name.
I will be the Bergman tomorrow.
The Bergman. It is literally, the Bergman sounds like the guy who is literally supposed to make the burgers.
Yeah.
Right? The Bergerman.
He's the Meisterburger Burgermeister fucking brother.
I have found the difference between the two, and that is the H2 is advertised at 228 horsepowers. So that is 20 more horsepowers than this has. So that's a big deal. So that's a big
It's got
deal.
that big complicated supercharger.
It's got that
and
there
everything.
supercharger.
Plus,
supercharger.
I like that after you start it, 25 minutes later, it smells worse.
It smells terrible. Yeah, it does. It smells terrible. Yeah, there's parts of my brain I've just
It's
lost.
almost
at this
bad
point.
as dudes last week.
We
Shane
can't open
or
a
what's his
fucking
name?
window.
Chance or something?
Chance.
He had the nastiest cigar. It wasn't even like their cigars that smell like cigars. It smelled like a dump truck that caught on fire. And so he's smoking it, and I'm trying to talk, and it's like,
Oh, it was the burning diaper cigar?
Oh, dude, it was terrible.
It was pretty terrible.
I like him. No
Yeah.
disrespect to him. You're a cool dude, but your cigar? Whoa.
Yep.
Oh.
So I don't know if you guys paid attention to the internet and the YouTubes and stuff when you're not riding your motorcycle. There's this YouTube thing out there. It's really funny. Yeah, YouTube. And so here's what's kooky about the YouTube is apparently some people use that as a source for information, like research.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you're not careful, you can take something that is designed for entertainment, like this podcast,
Or
and
Tide Pods,
and yes,
milk crates.
and you can misinterpret it for facts. Okay, and that brings us to our friend over at Fort 9.
And
Right.
don't misinterpret this podcast as anything that's factual.
Right. And so a lot of people think, and I'm going to have to tell you guys, and this is important. A lot of our folks might misinterpret that Fort 9 is a motorcycle YouTube channel that is all about education. They might think that it's an educational resource.
He promotes products for a company called Fort 9 that sells products just like Parts Unlimited or fucking Iron Pony or anybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Fort 9 is Revzilla. Fort 9 is Bike Bandit.
Yep.
Fort 9 is a place that sells you helmets and jackets and gloves.
And he is the anticipant or whatever the fucking word is of what I would like to be. He fucking figured anticipant. What is it?
For you to say.
Sisyphus.
Speaking.
I can't say the word, but you know what I mean.
Speaking
But like that's the job that I want. If Phil was big enough, he could just hire me and I'd do that for him.
Exactly. Right.
But no.
And so Fort 9 is very frequently mistaken as an educational resource.
No, he's just awesome though. He's good.
He's a wonderful, wonderful guy who makes great videos and has the power and the money of a motorcycle parts and apparel specialist that is Canada's largest motorcycle parts aftermarket supplier. So there's quite a bit of money behind there, and that's why the videos look so good.
But I think, I mean, like I did a deep dive on him once a long time ago when I was kind of getting into him. And he took the job with the thing, telling Fort 9 that he wasn't going to lie about products, though.
Right. Yeah.
Like he's not going to like tell you that like, you know, the built helmet is just as good as a Shoei or something like that. So like, I mean, like he does have a bit of integrity, although like, you know, whatever. But at the same time, there is a bit of integrity, I believe.
Do you think that's just him, or do you think that's just because he's Canadian?
Probably Canadian.
I think that's
they're
just 'cause
nice
he's
guys.
Canadian.
They're just
Ambiguously Canadian.
He's ambiguously Canadian. The dude is super Canadian, right?
Yeah.
So he's super duper Canadian. But he's also extremely entertaining, a lot of fun to watch, and I will tell you, I love the channel.
I feel like we're watching a young Jeremy Clarkson. Like,
we
you know
are
what I
watching
mean?
a very
Like,
young Jeremy Clarkson. 30 years from now?
Yeah.
There you go. Maybe not even 30 years from now.
Right.
But so, nice out. Damn. That sounds like a Natter Days.
The season is ending. Are you stocking up?
Season is ending. No, it's the fucking that shit springs eternal. If we don't go in that fridge, there'll be 47 more of them in there, just like that, right? So our buddy Fort 9, his last video that he puts out is called "Motorcycle Riders, Y'all Leaning the Wrong Way." Right?
Oh yeah,
Right?
I watched that.
And so there you go. And so there's a reason I want to bring this up because many of you don't know this, but a long time ago, one of my jobs that I had, and I actually got paid a little bit of money for, was I did function as a motorcycle instructor. And so a lot of the things in the world, are based on good training equals good performance.
Sure.
Right. They say practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect.
Right.
Bad practice makes bad actions.
Right.
And so our buddy over at Fort 9 does this beautiful video, great video, where he basically says, you're leaning the wrong way. And what he encourages riders to do is not that. So we see what's going on there, right? And that's pretty fucking incredible, right? That's pretty fucking rad. There's no doubt about it. That's fucking cool. But what he says in his video, if you watch the video, and it's 7.5 minutes long or something, what he says is it's better to keep your body upright and lean the bike under you.
Well, it depends.
Again,
In racing situations, not so much because, you're going to get the thing. But if you're in a situation where you might have to have an abrupt speed change or direction change, 100%.
Yep. And so there is a problem that we have with the video. He does a hell of a lot of time with physics and math, right?
Yeah.
And the problem is, to the lay consumer, to the person that's watching it, and I've now had no less than 45 fucking emails come my way saying, Phil, have you seen what this guy Fortnite is telling us to do on motorcycles? And I've said, yes, I have, because I do watch the channel and I do subscribe to the channel, and he'll get more subscribers because of this. But he does not go to anywhere near enough trouble, or 3 seconds, of explaining that at high speeds, what his assertion is no longer valid.
True.
So I would like it if he would have taken 3 extra seconds to say, at high speeds. And by high speeds, I mean 30. Okay? Because, no, it's true. Because everything that he says. So last year, a year and a half ago, for my 50th birthday, I decided not to go to wheelie school. I decided instead to go to law enforcement motorcycle training school.
Right.
And they taught me how to ride a Harley-Davidson motorcycle incorrectly. And I had to learn how to ride it incorrectly to pass the class. I was right. They were wrong. But I would have failed had I stuck to my guns and continued to be right. Because they were the people handing out the certificates.
Right.
But the whole technique behind that is that you stay upright and you lean the motorcycle hard left and hard right, and literally turn lock to lock. You lock left, you lock right, and then your throttle inputs control the lean angle of the motorcycle. And if the motorcycle's not making scrapey noises, you're not doing the job right. And the motorcycle will fall over quite frequently, but because you're upright and the bike is not, you'll simply be able to walk away. Ask me, I know I've walked away from it hundreds of times as a result of this fucking training. Okay? They also tell you things like, don't use your front brake ever, it's dangerous. And that should be enough to let you know that the course is bullshit, right? And the course is wrong. And the course is wrong, and the course is bullshit.
When you're losing 80% of your
The course is
braking.
designed for rodeo riding. It is not designed.
The course is specifically designed by Harley-Davidson to greatly reflect on the positive attributes of their motorcycle operating system. And if you use the tenets of that course operating on a BMW or a Honda or a Zero, it will not work. And you will create the type of friction that you get when you try to wash your cat using soap and water. Okay? It won't fucking go well, right? Now, one of you's right, one of you's wrong, but you're the one bleeding at the end of the conversation.
Right.
And no matter how right you are, the cat still wins.
Right.
Okay? So here we are.
I wash my cat all the time.
I shave mine.
Well played. So, I watched the video. The video's great. The video's cool, and the video's great, and it's fine.
Have you ever played around with this? Because I actually kind of do it a little bit sometimes, just being lazy and stupid, and I don't feel like leaning into the turn and turning the handlebars. I feel like just being stupid, and I'm going to kind of just lean around the turn this way
And keep the bike upright.
and keep the bike kind of upright, and it'll just sort of sallywag around a long sweeper. You can not lean into it. You can almost kind of lean the wrong way, and you'll still make it around the curve.
So this is what I call the wrong tool for the job. Most of the fun things in life, most of the greatest things I've ever experienced in my life, were using the wrong tool for the job. You ever tried the wrong hole?
Maybe.
Okay, right? All right. Right? You ever tried the wrong tool for the job?
You might not think it's the wrong hole, but you'll find out quick. It is.
That's called the rodeo.
The wrong tool to me kind of.
But again, all right. So anyhow, not too long ago, a few years ago, we decided to do something stupid, and that was take motor scooters and race them on an actual race track. Right? Taking a motor scooter that was designed to go get beverages. And instead, wear leather and not go to the fetish bar. To instead put on leather and get on a 13 horsepower bike and ride it around 10 turns in 1 mile on a kart track, or 10 turns in 2 miles on a GP motorcycle road racing course. In any case, nobody has ever advertised a motor scooter based on lean angle. Ever. Not once, ever, never. So Vespa scooters, which are kind of the world's favorite scooters, right? old Vespa scooters had a shift box on the right-hand side called a selector box. And that is the thing that essentially puts the bike in gear when you change gears as you do. And that, if you kick a Vespa over and it falls on the right-hand side, it hits the selector box first.
Or
Guaranteed.
if you leave Porco drunk and you kind of go too soon out of the thing.
Guaranteed. It just grinds the selector box right off,
Yep.
right? So that piece of cast metal is where the thing what for changing gears lives. Okay. On the left side of the bike, the lowest point is the exhaust.
Right.
Okay. You can lean a Vespa left a fuck ton more than you can lean a Vespa right.
True.
Okay. So because of that, we as people who decided foolishly to race these pieces of shit,
Only use left-hand turn tracks.
they don't make those. And in fact,
Just go
NASCAR track.
Just go the opposite direction.
in fact, as though ironically and jokingly, the vast majority of tracks that we operate on went the wrong way. So
It's not NASCAR's fault.
it's not NASCAR's fault, right? So when we would do Circleville, well, you make a preponderance of right-hand turns. And, because the track essentially brings you back to where you started, there's always going to be more of one-hand direction turns than the other. It's math. Look it up. It's funny. But
So
anyway.
there's more selector boxes in the first turn?
Yeah,
Laying there?
way more. All right. In fact, there were so many that we were forced to engineer a selector box cover because the tracks wouldn't let us out on the tracks if we didn't have a selector box cover to keep us from grinding through our selector box and letting all the old dinosaurs onto the racetrack. Right. Because it turns out if you grind through the metal on your vehicle, the oil leaks out.
Yeah.
Okay. So we had to engineer selector box covers that were moderately effective, but got, they proved that we had them. But we had to come up with them and invent them. So we created them so we could go on the racetrack. But here's the point that I will tell you right now that you guys might want to argue me about. What holds the road better? Rubber or any other part of your motorcycle?
Rubber.
Rubber, yeah.
It turns out that if you want to corner really aggressively, the tires help you do that, whereas any other part of the motorcycle does not.
Yeah.
Okay, so any other part of the motorcycle has less traction than the tires. So here's an interesting physics thing for you. Any amount of metal hitting the ground will reduce the amount of rubber hitting the ground or the effect of the rubber hitting the ground.
Correct.
So
The
as
pressure of the rubber hitting the pressure of the contact of the metal hitting the ground.
Yep.
If metal's hitting it, then it'll reduce the pressure of the.
I appreciate you taking it that far, but you really didn't have to, because I think we can all agree rubber is sticky and other parts aren't.
Well, I'm looking at his physics diagram here,
Yep.
and it doesn't take into account centripetal acceleration.
It doesn't take into account
it
that at
doesn't-
15 more degrees of lean angle, the exhaust is going to touch down. Right? So here's what we had to learn. So when we were racing scooters is that when we were racing scooters in a right-hand turn, the bike was remarkably upright and the human being was hanging way the fuck off into the turn. We had to move the CG way the fuck inside of the turn so the bike could stay upright, because if we leaned the bike over as far as we needed to, we were going to unload the tires and do what's called a fantastic low side.
So you guys were hack racers without the hack.
Without the hack,
You
exactly.
had monkeys climbing around on the thing.
That's exactly it. So in motorcycles that have objects that are low, that hit the ground, that don't fold up like Simba's, right? You have to keep the bike upright.
Wait, they fold up?
They don't fold up. The pegs,
the pegs don't fold
don't
up. Yeah.
fold.
The bikes will if you do it right, but not the pegs.
In one of the most curious design concepts ever, SYM decided that the pegs should be rigid and just be a piece of bent tubing with rubber pads on it.
Nice.
Right? They don't fold. And I found this out on the Dragon. They don't fold.
When it stood you up?
Every other motorcycle I've ever ridden on the Dragon has pegs that fold up. So when I lean the bike over and the peg hits the ground, there's a little feeler on the end of the peg, and the peg folds up and my foot bends with it, and I go, that's where I can't go anymore. I can't lean anymore. Well, when I leaned the Simba over on the Dragon, this giant rubber dick that my foot was on hit the asphalt. And you know what it did? It slowed the fuck down. It acted like an extra brake. Yeah. So it was an extra point of contact that wasn't spinning. And it wasn't helping my situation. It was a training wheel that didn't wheel.
Carbides on the end of that.
Right on. So because it increased my friction and it increased my drag and everything else, I had an oh shit your pants moment on the Dragon on a Simba, because when you do hit that, everything changes quickly. You decelerate very quickly, which changes the radius of your turn, which alters your lean angle, which basically tries to feed you into the sausage creature very quickly. Fuck me, right?
We'll see.
You're not supposed to be doing that on a Simba.
So we got that book from that guy and how
Cornering Confidence by John Del Vecchio. Read it.
So
Yeah.
So since we got that book, what was that, a year and a half ago?
Yeah,
2 years ago?
5 years.
I've been putting my face in the opposite mirror, the way he tells you to put your face in the opposite mirror.
Yeah.
So now it seems like everybody's got a better idea. Well, fuck it. You finally got used to, after a year of practicing, now I'm used to doing it that way.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Wait, which mirror you put your face in?
All I know is when I had my wife on the
you're
back of the
leaning,
bike, and she's not leaning, she's just sitting there dead on the bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
And I'm going around a turn fast.
You're keeping the bike up.
I have no choice but to try to
Further.
climb on the inside
so that
because
the
I've
angle
got to
of the
lean
bike-
for both of us.
That's exactly right.
And she's like, "Why are you doing that?" And I'm like, "I've got to get over more
Physics.
because you're just staying straight upright.
Right.
Because I've got to get through this turn, and I don't. I
Right.
have to lean for you."
And so,
The more you're upright, the more you have to lean the bike. I mean, if he's saying that you're supposed to stay straight up and down, then the bike has to lean more.
I
okay.
mean, that's just
So there's
that's
your
just
face.
low speed
So
counter
stop.
steering.
So
Everybody
there's
knows
his
about
face
that.
in the mirror right there.
All right.
With
So
that.
there you go, guys. We're looking at the picture right now. Our friend over there
My
at
face
Fort
is the
9.
opposite mirror.
Our friend over here at Fort 9 is making what is, at this point, he's executing a right-hand turn. He's doing a serpentine. But here's what I'd like to call your attention to. You'll notice that his body is perfectly vertical. From his asshole to the top of his helmet, perfectly vertical. But the motorcycle is at a 18-degree lean, okay? The motorcycle is 18 degrees off vertical. Okay. Now, he's going 6.5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you can tell because look how turned the front wheel is.
Now,
And they teach you that in basic rider school.
absolutely. Now, here's my question for you, boys. The first point of contact that's about to hit the asphalt is his what do you call that?
Up the
The belly pan. So the belly pan guard. So his belly pan guard and his exhaust assist. Okay, he's on a BMW motorcycle.
It's an 800.
So he's on a twin cylinder BMW, parallel twin.
GS800.
And so he's on this GS800, but you can see right now that his belly pan, which is metal and has no traction properties whatsoever, I checked, is less than 2 inches off the tarmac, right? We can all agree on that. So how effective is that belly pan at maintaining traction?
Zero.
So at this speed, he can get away with it because his lean angle is so mild. All right? His lean angle right now is super duper mild.
Right.
I'm going to tell you, my lean angle getting onto the freeway this morning on a Vespa was twice as aggressive as that is.
Right.
Okay? So at no point getting onto the freeway this morning on my Vespa in 52-degree temperatures was my lean angle as soft as his lean
well, yeah, you
lean
were
angle
going
is right
faster
now.
than 8 miles an hour.
Exactly. I was going 30 miles an hour, accelerating up to 75. So I was leaning the way that you should be leaning.
You were
but
probably
my-
going to do a 270-degree turn,
I
too.
was,
Get on there,
absolutely.
whereas this guy's, he's going to rack back on the other way.
Absolutely.
But that's a bad habit to learn because what happens if it's muscle memory at high speed, you're gonna rack yourself. You're in the low side.
So I guess the real thing is what we have to remember is just like they said in Star Wars, it's from a certain point of view, from a particular point of view. And that's where it is very important to specify. Okay, for all you people that watch the video, I respect and honor your opinion, but let's put a little common sense into it. No, at no point in the video is the man actually telling you that you must always do this all the fucking time, because that is not the right way to do it. Okay. The right way to do it is to understand that at low speed for very quick transitional turns, having your body upright and being able to see where you're going and being able to do the McTwist, the Lambret twist underneath you on that bike is fucking cool. Yeah. Rapid lane changes and shit like that.
It's the same like with a bicycle. I mean, even your instinct at going low speeds, you're never going to be like knee down on a fucking like 8 miles an hour little
Please
side
forgive
turn.
the fact that this is a Lambretta, okay? But the point remains the same.
Right.
When we're riding the wrong equipment, when we're racing the wrong equipment, as you can see, the knee puck on that rider is not offering any traction. Okay? So that guy riding that vintage Lambretta scooter on a racetrack, the knee puck is simply giving him a triangle. All it's doing is barely glancing against the ground. The tires are doing all the fucking work. Yep. The knee is not doing any work.
No, but he's got about a half a millimeter before the back hits.
And this is the problem, is if he commits any further than that. So you can see he is leaning at a greater angle than the bike is.
Do you, as a racer and doing this a long time, does your body get accustomed to know exactly how much of that thing you can get before you're going to hit that?
Yeah. In fact, what he's doing is he's hooking his knee on the seat, the opposite knee, the knee that's not on the tarmac.
Yeah.
He's hooking that on the seat. And then what he'll do is he'll understand by how much his left arm is straight, like how straight his left arm is to understand where it is. Because when you go back to Fortnine's video, another common problem, another reason that business of staying upright is your arms are only so long. So, and that's another problem with this operation of keeping yourself up, but the bike is down.
So was that picture?
You let go, you're holding on to the left.
Was that with the previous picture?
Yeah.
It makes me think, I mean, and I don't know this for sure, but it looks like when the bike's leaned like that, that your contact patch is actually increased over being straight up and down.
Absolutely. You're using the meat of the tire. And, and that's tire selection.
There's that one video of the guys doing circle track where the one guy's got one bar up like this and he's trashing.
Oh, yeah, the old Japanese dude. Right. Yeah, that thing's
sick. He kicks their ass because he's just basically like...
and that motorcycle's designed to have one handlebar down by your knee and the other handlebar up here.
And it has nothing to drag.
It only turns one direction.
Right.
Yeah, it
They're
literally
doing circle
only
racing.
turns one direction. That's all it does.
So I have an important question.
Yeah.
To get maybe an extra half inch of lean angle, can you trim your balls?
That's why all these guys sell these bikes when they're 70.
Well, and this is a better picture because this shows the Vespa, and this shows how much you hang off a Vespa. So there's a Vespa there being followed by a Lambretta, and the Vespa, the bike stays more upright. So those are two guys going at the same speed through the same turn, right? And the reason that helps show you is that the Vespa is a few degrees more vertical than the Lambretta is. The Lambretta has a little more right cornering clearance than the Vespa does. You can see the Vespa is about to touch down any moment now. So the rider leans in, carries his weight, he hangs off the motorcycle.
It's almost like racing pickup trucks.
Yeah, it is like racing pickup trucks. It's the wrong tool for the job. It's absolutely the wrong tool for the job. Here's a pretty good example of it right here. This is a guy who's really getting into it. If you don't know, Vespa racing is a thing. It's pretty fucking psychotic and a lot of fun. But the problem we were talking about with that system of hanging off the bike and letting the bike lean underneath you is that your human arms are only so long. And once your arm is fully extended, it cannot bend anymore. It is holding the motorcycle. Right. So you can't use it. Your arms are longer than most. Yeah. But that whole idea is by having the bike turning underneath you, you're going to notice in the picture of this guy on the bike, he's owning that bike. He's right up in it. He couldn't be any closer to that machine. But even that being said, his right arm doesn't have much more bend to give. His right arm is damn near straight at this point. And that's a consequence of keeping the bike straight and having the bike go at an angle underneath you.
And what about trying to work that floorboard operated rear brake?
Yeah.
Forget about that.
Forget about that. Yeah. That's all you got. That is literally all you fucking got. So that's just an interesting thing. So watching the Fortnite video, what's funny is after I watched it and after all these people have kind of commented and said, holy shit, can you believe what this guy's saying? Because people who've taken motorcycle racing courses, people who've taken fast tracks or, fast day courses or even any track day, we all know that the greater the lean angle of the machine, the higher the risk. So sooner or later, some hard parts of the machine are going to touch. And if you're not fucking Valentino Rossi, and if you're not riding a motorcycle that is literally designed to be where your elbow is a point that contacts the earth, you probably don't have the kind of aggressive cornering clearance designed into your motorcycle to let it do that.
But also, I think it's a personal thing too, because I tend to lean off bikes a lot when I turn. I try to really get off the bike and pull it through the corner.
Right.
But Mike, my friend Mike, when he rides, and he's fast as fuck.
He is fast.
He's a really fast rider.
Right.
He doesn't stay upright.
Right.
But whatever the bike lean is, he's exactly 0 degrees to the seat. So you know what I mean? Like he follows the bike.
No,
but
he never hangs off. He stays vertical.
Right. On the bike.
Right.
But somehow he makes that fast as fuck. And like I've chased him. I'm like, I sometimes underestimate a turn because I look at him and he's just kind of upright, leaned with the bike exactly like 0 degrees, but the bike's 10 degrees. So it just looks like he's leaned over a little bit.
Yep.
So I'm like, oh, it's not that big of a turn. And then I hit it. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like,
and that's true. And a big part of that is confidence and trusting your tires.
Sure.
So like I know I've ridden with a lot of people that trust their tires way more than I trust my tires.
Yeah.
And I trust my tires sometimes more than other people do. And that's a big part of riding a motorcycle is, that level of trust.
So it depends on the bike. It depends on the speed. Depends on the rider.
Right.
Depends on the tire.
And the tires.
I figure like I'm too big not to use this mass to try to help.
Yeah.
Like, if I get a few inches this way or that way, it's probably helping.
Ain't that the fucking truth? That's what that picture's for right there. So that's what we get when we get extreme scooter racing right there. But I just wanted to bring that up because again he's a YouTube personality, he's a YouTube celebrity, but a lot of people watch him and he's got a billion zillion followers. But that's information that I went back and I kind of watched it again because I wasn't sure. And it is the thing. It's like you really have to specify like at certain speeds. And that technique is great when you're going at very low speeds. But when you're going at higher speeds, you do have to move. Your center of gravity needs to go in a different place.
And nowadays, you look at the GP racers, they're putting a foot down. They're not putting a knee down anymore.
And that's
they're coming in. They're going in circle tracks.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, you're backing it in too because you've said that part of racing now is going to be drifting. So part of racing is exceeding the grip package of your tire. So, or not exceeding it, but being aware of it. Yeah, being aware of it and letting it drift a certain amount, letting the wheel spin a certain predictable amount. And so when you do that, that's that backing it in. That's that foot out.
Well, and also with MotoGP and the rest of it, a lot of it has to do with superstition. And if the fastest guy does something, then everybody does it. Because when Valentino Rossi started sticking the leg out, nobody had done that. And that came from his flat track racing. It was just something that he felt comfortable. Within 5 races, 50% of the thing, we're all dragging their fucking legs
Here's a picture right here. And so when I started, when I made a transition from racing motorcycles into racing scooters, I was behind a guy that was doing this technique, right?
Yeah.
So this guy was, he's on a bike and, he clearly was a motocross rider. He clearly was a flat tracker kind of guy. And the dude just insistent, every fucking super tight turn we do, he'd throw his fucking leg out.
Right.
And I was like, I don't think I'm going to do that. I just don't think I'm going to do it. And you can see the guy in the front is very high up on the bike where the guy behind him is very low on the bike. And that's 2 techniques right there being ridden by the same, 2 different people in the same class. And now, granted, the first guy's on a TGB, Taiwan Golden B, with a kit, 70cc, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. These bikes top speed 70 miles per hour. But they do a 24-hour fucking race on these bikes. So
it's like 3 top end.
Yeah. These guys are as good as you're going to get in that endeavor. But what I learned was the penalty for when you actually do put your foot down. So you are hanging that foot out there to give yourself a sense of confidence. But occasionally, you will get lazy. And occasionally your heel will hit the deck.
Oh, yeah.
And when your heel hits the deck, I want to tell you, that's a come to Jesus moment because it upsets all your geometry.
Oh, I can attest to that. Yep. Doing that boonie bike race a couple years ago at the fucking thing.
Yep.
I duct taped my fucking boot, right?
Right.
And so I had this nice slick duct tape. It was on the outside. About 4 laps into it, that wore off.
Yeah.
And then the glue was sticking out.
Yeah.
And my fucking foot hit, and I almost fucking totaled myself.
And that's the thing is people don't realize when you're racing and you have the bike leaned over and you got a lot of lateral forces on you that having your foot hit the deck, especially when your foot's in front of you.
Oh, it's fun.
As opposed to just your toes
Well,
curling
there's the whole
back.
thing. The shoe. Those guys, the circle track guys are wearing a
metal shoe. Right.
Yeah.
And they are loading that foot up. That foot is being loaded up as a contact
It's
patch.
a ski.
It's a ski. It's part of the bike.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a tricycle ski. But when I can tell you the time that I was like, oh, that dude seems to know what he's got going on, I'm going to throw a foot out there. Because I have no dirt bike riding experience that hasn't ended up in a hospital. Right? So I put my foot out to be like him. And I put my foot out and lean the bike over, and eventually my foot hit the ground. When my foot hit the ground, all the energy of the ground, because Earth is heavy, the planet weighs a lot, and the whole planet pushed against me on my bike. And it just upset my whole turn. I nearly high-sided that bitch.
Right.
Like, I nearly threw it away.
And you can easily blow a knee out.
And
Seriously.
I had made that turn, no shit, 400 times before with my foot on the floorboards and my knee out. Successfully made the turn at least 400 times, no problems.
Right.
Put my foot out one time and nearly saw God. So fuck that shit. Yeah, I can tell you right now, for this guy, it doesn't work so well.
Gotcha.
Not my favorite thing. But yeah, I mean, that's just one of those things. And again, we're taking it down to a micro scale, but the whole idea is just showing that, like, we're not just talking about 200 horsepower motorcycles. We're talking about a 13 horsepower motorcycle, but the science still fucking applies.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting, I think, at the least. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of an interesting deal. I just thought I'd bring that up. So, Steve's back.
No.
So we did want to talk about, because we're trying to stay on target because our podcast listeners deserve that. So there has been a push, and there has been either a rumor or somebody somewhere with a lot of fucking followers has said that, you know, getting the COVID shot will make your testicles swell and you'll become impotent. No. What they're talking about is that you saw that, didn't you?
Isn't that a Kardashian or one of those?
Cardi B.
Cardi B.
Her wet ass pussy.
Yeah.
And her cousin's friend's big ass balls.
Fucking mental juggernaut.
Again. Nobody. Don't ever call the CDC. Call the Cardi B. Right? That's where we get all of our medical advice. It's from Cardi B.
It was a friend of her cousin's person that lives in Africa.
No, it's in Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, okay,
the
sorry.
The Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago had to go on the internet and go on TV and say, there has been no substantiation that anybody's cousin's brother's testicles have shrunk and he's become impotent as a result of the vaccine.
Right.
Yet she has so many fucking followers that it facilitated that level of a response.
Right.
But welcome to the world we live in, right? You got 97.3 million followers. You are now a more reputable news source than anybody's medical system, like any CDC or anything else. Anyway,
you have a wider demographic following you, which includes stupid people.
True.
I would argue mostly.
And also, like,
I mean, I don't even look at Twitter. I have no social media.
Well, I would argue, like, the average person, you might get like that thing,
right?
But with her, you're already at the fucking scraping bottom of fucking.
That's true.
Yeah.
And when she
I don't even know who she is, so.
You don't need to.
She's like the female Kanye West.
So she's a rap singer?
She's a female Kanye West.
She made a song called Wet Ass Pussy. And all the people were talking about it because it's the WAP, Wet Ass Pussy. And that was the thing.
Was it on the radio?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they just censored it. But then they have like 7-year-old girls dancing to Wet Ass Pussy and stuff. It's fucking, she's awesome, dude. That was facetious.
Facetious.
No, I mean, I don't know.
Facetious
I never heard that. So.
Yeah. Right.
I get you.
She started her career as a hooker.
Yeah, stripper.
Yeah.
So apparently she
robbed. It went downhill from there.
Pranking guys and stealing their money.
Yeah, she would get them all fucked up and be like, "I'm gonna fuck you," and then they pass out and wake up with nothing.
And their kidneys are gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, kind of like anybody who
That's
works.
a Kardashian gal?
Yeah.
And the government pays.
No,
If you
she's not a
pass out, the
Kardashian.
government takes all your money.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Right.
I had not heard that. That was not, I plead ignorance of that whole thing, but seems to be on point.
Yeah,
seems to be on message. Yeah.
Well, she got cases thrown at her for it. And
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a couple years ago.
Get the fuck out of here.
I don't know why I know this. I don't even follow. I don't know anything. I just know
Yes,
that
you do. Don't
I
be
masturbate to her
apologizing.
daily, but
No,
leave me
because
alone.
he woke up and he had no money.
He had no money.
He keeps talking about that first wife. It's Nicki Minaj, and it wasn't a wife.
Right.
She promised.
Whatever her name is.
She promised me so much.
So wait. So we started on swollen balls, and now we're talking about what?
No, because she said it.
I don't really know. You said we were supposed to stay on point.
Yeah, I know.
She said it. She said it.
No,
It's one of those things where you say we're going to stay
That's
on point.
that is the only WAP I care about. That is the 2009 Malaguti F10 WAP, whereas will always be known the best bike at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, the silver one, right?
The silver one,
Yeah,
yeah.
fuck yeah, that thing's awesome.
Wet ass pussy, man. Yeah, that is.
Is that currently in production?
No, not for years. 2009. You know, they don't still make it. It's a 2-stroke, but it's adorable. It's pocket
It
sized.
goes.
Yeah, but it is straight up. It is one of my absolute favorite Mid-Ohio bikes.
I remember you were like, I don't think it's going to start. And you kicked it and it started right up and you were
One
like,
kick.
you were like, all right.
One kick. Hasn't gone to Mid-Ohio in 2 years.
Yeah.
Never left the back of my warehouse.
Right.
One kick and it was like Mid-Ohio.
Yeah.
It
We're
was
here.
like, hey, let's go. Let's go. The rest of you fucking bikes, get your shit together.
It didn't even do the warm up like, no.
Nothing.
It didn't. I kicked that bitch one time with gas in it from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this, in its defense, that was track gas.
Yeah, right.
So there was no ethanol in it.
That helps.
So that helps a lot.
Yeah.
And the fact that one kick, that fucking F10 lit up.
Yep.
And that thing, the last job it did 2 years ago was pulling all the other bikes down to where the trailer was.
Right.
So that thing had a strap on the back of it, and it was pulling John on a fucking,
had
Grand
a
Vista, and
Strap on it?
its whole job was basically strap on. That poor bastard had a strap on the entire goddamn time. But I will give it fucking credit. Heart of gold.
Yeah.
Like heart of gold. I still love that bike to this day.
And it's cute. It has little gauges on it and everything.
It's adorable.
Yes.
It's an adorable little bike that was made in Italy when it had only one job, and that was just to be adorable. Yeah. There's nothing on that bike that can stab you.
And it has a schnabel.
It has a schnabel. It just, and there's no rear rack. It has a completely ineffective rear wing that does nothing. Look at where the rear wing is.
Yeah.
You're going to catch some real downforce on that, aren't you?
That's if you fart.
That's the F10 WAP. Or as we used to call it before that song came out.
Right.
We called it the WAP. It's Italian. Anyway, so that's it. It came with dumb wop tires and everything. It was legit. So
Dumb wop tires.
oh, hold on. Yeah, right. I didn't say that.
There were so many opportunities for Foley, actually.
I'm trying to restrain myself. Hold on.
Oh, you don't know your soundboard. You are ineffective. No
I
pay.
understand. What is Foley?
Like the noise. Like when you watch a movie, none of that's real noise.
Slapstick.
Like when somebody breaks a bone, it's celery breaking and shit or
Yeah.
fucking whatever.
Right.
Yeah, but is that the technical term
Yeah,
for that?
it's, to be
doing
that.
that?
To
Well, that's kind of sound effect.
the guy that does it. So like if we're saying, okay, today we're going to film a movie and the guy's going to be walking across the gravel parking lot. Well, we're not going to put a microphone by his shoes.
Right.
You're going to be in the background crumpling up paper and you'll simulate
actually-
that.
So the guy who's doing that, his job's name is Foley.
He's a Foley
Yeah.
artist.
Have you
Okay.
ever seen that shit,
Okay.
dude? Look up a video. It's fucking great. They have a whole studio.
Yes,
And they'll have like gravel
Yeah,
in a box
yeah,
and
right.
things and celery. And so they watch the movie and they watch it with headphones on it. And they'll be like, they're synchronizing. They're like,
yeah.
It's really cool.
and then
so
like
you don't have
the
to
guy
put
next to him,
microphones
it's like when the foot hits
Right.
the mud,
See,
he
I've
takes
never
the
ever
thing, he's
heard
like,
that term before.
oh yeah,
It's a
it's
Foley
fucking,
artist. Yeah.
I would love to do that, dude.
Yeah.
Like the martial arts ones when they're kicking people and stuff, they're hitting shit and everything. The guy has lettuce or celery, and then when the guy breaks a bone, he'll be like, like that. It's so good, dude.
So apparently, while we were sleeping,
Yeah.
This happened.
yeah. So while we were sleeping,
The Big Bang happened?
no, it's just background for us. So this isn't all going to be a video supported podcast for our listeners at home.
Phil figured out a wormhole to have a warehouse.
Right. It's perfect. So apparently what had happened is the National Conference of State Legislatures has moved forward in their adoption of automated traffic laws enforcement.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So, a lot of things do happen in the world without actually asking us permission, just making sure people know that. And so right now in 22 states, we live in one of them. And if people would like to know, Alabama, Arizona, California, Colorado, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Iowa, Louisiana, Maryland, Missouri, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, Washington.
No, Wisconsin.
Where, man?
Yep.
Wisconsin,
There,
no.
man. I've been there.
Wisconsin will make that shit illegal.
Yeah, that's right.
Wisconsin outlawed DUI checkpoints.
See, exactly right. So there are states that are for the citizens, and there are states that are against the
Gotta
citizens.
love Wisconsin,
Right.
baby.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
anyway,
That wasn't me.
Turn that shit off.
So
I had a point to this, but not this.
Freaking
these-
sign gown.
again, there's an American taking a Mexican job.
I know. Think
That's
they're
it.
germs.
Right. That's it. You know what? When the Mexican was controlling our Foley, we had good Foley. Now you're over there trying to, that's right.
Fucking around.
Yep, fucking around. So anyway, this is one of these things that's saying that these these pilot programs have been authorized in many, many, many states. And this is something that did happen without your permission.
Are these the states?
What?
Oh my God. Wacko, Animaniacs.
Here goes. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Indianapolis, Indiana, and Columbus is the capital of Ohio. There's Montgomery, Alabama, south of Helena, Montana. Then there's Denver, Colorado, under Boise, Idaho. Texas has Austin, then we go north to Massachusetts, Boston, and Albany, New York. Tallahassee, Florida, and Washington, D.C. Santa Fe, New Mexico, and Nashville, Tennessee.
That's all the states that have the
right. So this is something that,
was that a project for school or what?
That's
that
the
was,
Animaniacs.
you know what, Steve? That was really good. That was good. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that with
That's
us.
better than his fucking sound effects.
No,
That's all. No, okay.
Not anyway.
It fucking bombed.
Fitch bombs out again.
Fucking bombed.
And that's
Okay, somebody send me the cards. I'll pick them up tomorrow. I'm going home.
as
I worked hard on that. I had to look it up and all this.
they said in Hamilton, immigrants, they get the job done. All right.
It's going to be hard to kick you off the pod.
MAGA.
So Maine, Mississippi, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Texas, and West Virginia prohibit both red light and speed cameras. Montana and South Dakota prohibit red light cameras. New Jersey and Wisconsin do not allow speed cameras. Nevada prohibits the use of cameras unless operated by an actual human being officer or installed on law enforcement vehicles or facilities. We're going to talk about that in a second. The constitutionality of automated enforcement laws has been challenged in many jurisdictions. Okay. However, this is where we're from. Cleveland Police Department has cars that they park.
Yeah.
And on the car is no less than 16 fucking cameras.
Yep.
And they're pointed in every goddamn direction. And all those cameras do is read license plates. The camera reads license plates, and the camera says, okay, this license plate that we're keeping track of is a known offender or a warrant or a whatever.
Those are called vehicle noticing cars.
Exactly.
They notice you.
And it's a car, and it's there, and it doesn't have a human in it. Just a car. And the reason is we had some pushback in the state of Ohio a few years ago on in-place, in-situ traffic cameras. And in fact, a court ruling just got taken that said if you've had a law enforcement camera-based infraction, which I did. So one of our vehicles, in the case of rented, leased, or corporate vehicles, you can go get your fucking money back. Okay? Because they lost a case. And in my situation, my Tundra, without my permission or without my knowledge, was driving down Carnegie at 52 miles an hour, that cocksucker. And happened to go past a traffic enforcement camera and got a picture taken of the Tundra, the front and the back. And I got a ticket issued to me, the owner of the Tundra, even though clearly that Tundra was operating without my permission. Because I would never give that truck permission to go 52 miles an hour down Carnegie.
Of course.
Because it's a 35 mile an hour zone.
Of course.
So clearly that truck was operating without the permission of me, the owner.
Had to be James.
Exactly. It had to be anybody
But him.
but
the
you
owner.
couldn't prove it was me.
Right.
Right.
And eventually, after I went in and fought it, they said, yeah, that's nice. Pay the fucking ticket. So I paid the fucking ticket. So I paid the ticket. But now I qualify for being one of those fools that gets to go back and get my money back. Because it is, in fact, the case where...
Because you contested it?
Because I contested it.
Good for you.
So I contested it, and I contest everything anyway. I just believe, we pay a lot of money for these courts to operate. We might as well use them.
Right.
And there's a slim chance the guy who's got an axe to grind against you isn't going to show up, right? Or he doesn't care, right? So anyway. So everybody who had a ticket that was a leased vehicle, a company-owned vehicle, a rented vehicle, right? You stand in good ground right now to get that ticket thrown out and get that money paid back to you. Because, in fact, it's true, you can't prove it was me committing the violation. You can only prove that that vehicle was committing the violation and then send a bill for that to the owner of the vehicle.
Who happens to be?
Me, in this case, right? And again, I'm not saying I was the guy driving it down Carnegie. It could have been any one of my members of my staff or my support crew or anybody who might be driving it. But the point is, you damn sure can't prove it was me because you didn't have a cop pull me over. You didn't have a cop identify me, interview me, and write me a fucking ticket.
Or follow you for 52 miles.
It doesn't matter. Exactly, right. Yeah, you cannot prove I was going 52 miles.
I have a right to face my accuser.
Absolutely. So they didn't bring the camera into court, so fuck you. Right? Yeah.
So are they just issuing the ticket to the license plate owner?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that happened to me over in Newburgh Heights.
Yeah.
Well, Newburgh, you don't have to pay those.
Well, I did.
Yeah. Those are not citations. If you look at them closely, you're being assessed a fee.
You're being right, exactly.
And it's a collection agency.
Yeah.
And they can't do anything about it. They're unenforceable. It doesn't go on your license. It's basically nothing.
Yeah, and those are, and also,
where the fuck were you 3 months ago?
I talked about this on the podcast.
And he has a company, 1-800-JOHN, get you out of tickets or something.
Right, and there's also things like mayor's courts and stuff like that where they don't really have any. They don't have any recourse. They don't have any power to go after you and charge you more money via. They can submit you to a collections agency.
Well, they actually,
Right.
I was.
They want you to voluntarily pay.
Of course they do. Yeah.
And I paid it late, and they whacked me with an extra $25.
Right.
Which I didn't pay.
Right.
And they haven't come after me.
No,
but
they won't. They were happy to get the
I'm
first.
still laughing.
I'm taking my attorney, John McElfresh, in with
I
me.
haven't been paid at all, and it's been 2 years ago. And I talked with one of the Newburgh guys who came in, and I was programming his radio. I'm like, those aren't citations. I read it really close. Right. It's not a citation.
No.
He's like, nope, they can't do anything. No. They can't take your license.
Nope.
It doesn't go
It's
on
a
your
fee.
record. It's just a fee.
Right.
If you pay it, thank you for paying it.
Yep.
If you don't pay it, then they'll ask you to pay it again.
Yep. It's the same way a lot of the stuff that's a parking violation that cites you a parking fee based on camera activity when you can be like, that's not me parking there. Right. You're charging me, but I didn't park there. You're charging me, but I didn't drive there.
Right.
Oh, well, so now their speed camera violation is written up as a parking infraction. It's a misuse of vehicle, right? It's a misuse of the city. We're not saying that you were violating the law in the city. What we're saying is you were using the city incorrectly. So you weren't doing what you're supposed to be doing in the city. So it kind of has the same teeth as a parking violation, which means they're not going to take your license away for it on a state level. But if you go into that city, they may hold it against you later on. But that's just simply them doing it on a fiduciary standpoint.
You didn't like. You can't get. They're not going to or
No.
there's not going to be a warrant.
Not at all.
Even the Newburgh Heights cop is like not going to see that you have unpaid traffic cam tickets. It's
That's
all
exactly
just,
it. And in the case of Cleveland in particular, the city is paying a third-party vendor. So all these things are coming through a third-party vendor. And that's where it becomes corrupt because there is a for-profit element of that. So because there's a for-profit element, they're encouraged to commit or create more of them. Right. As opposed to an actual law enforcement officer who is enforcing the law. That's what they call him, right? And so he's witnessing a violation and issuing a summons, subpoena, or fine. And when all those tickets are, is a summons. Your violation is a summons. Now, the fact that you are being given the option of admitting to your guilt and paying for your fine up front without going to court is a convenience. Because the citation itself is saying, if you don't pay this beforehand, you are required to appear in court next Tuesday.
Right.
Now, of course, you don't want to go to court on next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.
Yeah, so you summarily, and if you don't have a violation in the past year, they're giving you the benefit of the option of waiving the citation, which you think is great, but you're still getting the points and you're still paying the maximum amount possible. I say, fuck that. Make the fucker work for it. Go in and say, look, I'll make you a deal. No points and $50.
And that's the thing. If you do no contest, most of the time they don't give a fuck. As long as they get their money, you won't get the point.
I always like to say, fuck no contest.
Oh, really?
I straight up go in and say, look, I didn't do it. He's arguing pretty aggressively that I did do it, but I'm willing to negotiate with you, Mr. Safety Director, ahead of time, or you, Mr. Prosecutor, ahead of time.
Oh, before the case.
Exactly.
Okay.
Let's not even bother the judge with this shit. This is a 2-point violation, but I don't think I deserve it. Look at my record. It's clean as fucking shit. I've got 0 points on this bitch. So I'm usually right, apparently. My record's better than yours is because I'm asserting that your guy's wrong. So one of us coming into this situation is righter than the other one. I'll give you $50. I'll give you $100. No points. Write it off. Fair enough. That's what they want. That's what they're there for.
They want their money.
It's income generation.
Yep.
If you don't ask, you don't get. In the case of a citation in particular, I find it's better to just go ahead and say, hey, look, you know what? Unless you have literally video that you're going to pull up on the screen and go to the trouble of, properly fighting your case against me, the best you're ever going to do the first time you go to court is doing what? You're going to get another date. So you just wasted a day. You go to court. Oh, Tuesday at 4 p.m. Okay, I'm going to go. I'm going to go talk to this fucking cop. We're going to sort this shit out. You show up. You know what happens? Squat-touche, as Chris would say.
Cop's not there.
Of course the cop's not there. What do? Mr. Smith, how do you plead?
Innocent.
We'll see you in 3 weeks. Please sign here to relinquish your right to a fair and speedy trial. And then what do? You go back 3 weeks later, and maybe the cop is there. Maybe not. You're throwing the dice. If the cop doesn't show up, you walk. If the cop does show up, hopefully you've had the presence of mind to get there really fucking early and ask to talk to the prosecutor or the safety director, and go talk to the prosecutor if you've got a prosecutor there, or talk to the safety director and just say, hey, man, this is, come on. 35 and a 25? This is ridiculous.
But you're Phil Waters. And when I did that, they just yelled at me.
So what did it cost them to yell at you?
Whatever it would have cost me to pay the fine.
Exactly.
It was stupid, though, because I had pictures and I had the law that stated
He
that.
looked like Charlie from
125 8x10s.
Charlie Sheen over
I gave
here.
him to the judge who was blind.
I did.
Always Sunny.
I had pictures, and I had the fact that
With the pictures and the arrows and the description on the back of each and every one.
He's got strings going to all the different things. He's like, Your Honor, look.
Another case of American blind justice.
Came from the grassy knoll to no. It was like it was a left-hand turn sign
Was
that
obstructed.
was improperly placed. No, it wasn't even there. They have to have one on the pole. On the pole by the street, and they have to have one above
Pole
the lane.
and the Hungarian.
There was no sign there,
Right.
and the other one was 2 lanes over.
Yeah.
That said you couldn't turn left.
Right.
And so,
Well, fuck that. Don't pay.
no, he said, "You're right, but you're paying the fine."
You're right, but you're paying anyway.
And that's what he said. I'm like,
Lakewood?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, fuck Lakewood.
There you
That's
go.
why nobody lives there
Right.
anymore.
So anyway, just letting you know that these laws have been passed and these pilot programs are happening. And in Europe, they've got a lot of traction. I can tell
That's
you
what
that.
I was going to say. In Europe, there's tons of them. You can lose your license in 5 stoplights. I mean,
You can.
Just if you go 40 mile an hour down this street from here to here, you're done.
Yep. And you can. And John's exactly right. Traveling in the UK.
Well, and, when you put this up there, I looked up. So Mayfield Heights have increased their highway traffic cams offenses by 100%.
Wow.
In the last 12 months.
Yeah.
And people are averaging over 85 miles an hour out on 271.
Yeah.
So there is a problem with people ripping and tearing down.
Oh, yeah.
I got no problem with it.
COVID plus 1 month. COVID plus 1 month. You get out on the freeway, everybody was going 115 miles an hour.
They
Right?
just don't give a fuck.
Because nobody pulled you over.
Right.
Well, did you
Exactly.
see? Did you
Right.
see
I'll
though?
cough
that
on you.
Besides this, here in Europe, there was a whole article on Adventure Rider. They're talking about it, and it's probably going to come here in the next 10 years. But they are
I'll
going
be dead.
They're going to institute all the cars are going to have to report the speeds that they're going at.
Yep.
And so the car will know what the speed limit of the street is, and it'll either restrict your speed or it'll give you an automatic fine by driving over.
Absolutely. And so that's why I wanted to bring this up, because
That'll be an override on your car.
it's not. So here's
A $285 override.
Right.
Yeah.
Until you get caught. And
I'm
then
going to pay. I'm going to pay the upcharge. But here's the thing: is you guys are
As soon as
talking
you
about
boot it up, it will report itself, and you will then
Yeah, right.
Report that you're trying to override?
Yes.
So you guys are talking about this like this might happen someday, but this has already been happening
No,
for
it's
10
going.
years.
They said in 5
No,
years.
it's already happening.
Yeah.
All they're going to do is hack the system where
It's
it
location,
says
location,
you'll be doing
location.
45, and it'll be reporting 35. You could easily do that.
When I
I'm
worked
sure.
for the city, I was installing devices that was an OBD2, plug it in, and you could go drive around, and I could click on any point and tell how fast you were going, anywhere you were, anywhere. It was
Yeah, a lot of
real
fleet
time.
vehicles have that already.
It's not even that difficult. It's
So if you change the size of your tires, if you put bigger tires on, you can get away with it.
go. There you go.
So you're gonna have 32s on your.
Or is it going to be GPS speed?
So this is why.
So GPS speed don't give a fuck about your tire size.
Thank you for doing my work for me.
Because they have GPSs in them.
So this is the way it's been for a long time, and
I'm using globals or whatever the Russian one is.
We live in a country.
He's only buying Russian cars from now.
From now on. Well, and there's something to be said for that. So this has been a thing for quite a while in Japan. So if you read this article, what year is this article written?
2007.
Yeah, 2007. So 2007, the Nissan GTR, when you bought your car from the factory, it was speed limited to 111 miles per hour. It would not go any faster than 111 miles an hour unless you were at the racetrack. The car knew GPS location. The car knew that it was at the racetrack. And as soon as you pulled onto the racetrack property, the speed limiter went away. Wow. Okay. Now keep in mind that technology existed 14 years ago.
Yeah.
And there are many, because I do dabble in Japanese cars. There are many, I know, no shit, really?
Just a tip.
Yeah, just a tip, just for a minute. Okay. So there are many Japanese cars today that you can purchase that have this feature in them.
It's kind of like the geofencing with the quadcopters.
And
it's
the
just
drones,
like, it just doesn't let you cross it.
Right.
Do they consider the United States a racetrack?
Yeah. So this is the point. The point is that it's either going to happen on the enforcement side municipally. So it'll be a municipal opportunity for cash creation, and you know, and that's what that is.
Well, this is also going to force the self-driving cars because nobody's going to be like, you know what, it's not fun to drive anymore.
Yep.
Because I just get a ticket.
Right.
So you know what, might as well buy out and self-drive it because there's no point in
or it's going to be on the manufacturing side to then say, Oscar, with the new Subaru, we're going to protect you from getting that super expensive ticket. With that new Subaru,
We're going to limit it a little.
we're going to let you punch the number on the dashboard. Because look, man, I had a Buick in the 80s that had a little thing on the dial, on the speedometer, and you could spin that little arm and you just move the arm. It's mechanical. And as soon as the other arm got hit, it went,
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. It was an alert.
It was an alert to let you know you're speeding. It was a speed alert. And it was purely analog. There was no digital equation to it whatsoever. It was like playing Operation with a car.
Yeah.
It was literally like playing Operation with a Buick. As soon as the needle hit whatever you put on the dial, it alerted you and you're like, oh shit, it was getting away from me there for a second.
digesters.
Turn that needle up some more.
And
Yeah,
speaking
turn
of
that, crank that needle
operation,
up.
You know who is really huge in supporting the whole like self-driving car and like all this stuff is Pornhub. They're trying.
Especially with the big screens on the Teslas. Fuck yeah.
The new Cybertruck comes with a tissue dispenser.
Fucking Kleenex.
Comes
What
with
else
a
you gonna do on a 3-hour fucking highway?
24-inch monitor, an electronically dimming windows, and a fucking lap dispenser.
That's right.
and in the glove compartment, the whole Manscaped grooming set.
Fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, you guys may have heard that we haven't said anything about Manscaped yet.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Did
it happen?
Do they have a new copy?
Get on your machine.
Wah, 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 wah.
Well, here's the problem with our relationship
That's
with Manscaped.
Honey, is Manscaped still your friend?
You know what, guys? Apparently, it took 2 whole months.
Nice.
Apparently, it took 2 whole months for that company to decide that our services were no longer required. Now, I'm not saying that they fired us, but what I'm saying is...
They listen to a podcast.
What I'm saying is my last request... What I'm saying is my last request... Oh, that one goes on for a while. Wow. Wow. Holy shit. That's the whole show, isn't it? Yeah, that's the whole show, right? Okay. All right. So our last request for payment... Because look, service is rendered, right?
Yeah.
We did our job. We talked about it. Hell, talked about it on multiple forums.
I've included it on all the videos.
I was going to say, they're not even paying us for the Moto Story shit.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. It's in there.
Right? They're not even paying it for that. Anyway, I digress.
So what did it? Was it
Well,
I think it was your refusal to use it. They were like, this motherfucker won't use it.
So he's the one that needs it.
I can't go against the Dollar Shave Club.
So hold on. Whoa. Wow, okay. Before
you're listening.
Before you bury the hatchet deeply in somebody else's back, give me a second and tell you, we haven't been fired, but we may have been lightly ignored. So my last request for payment has gone unanswered. So I sent them a little reminder, a polite nudge to say, hey, even though you didn't pay us, we still been talking about your stuff.
Did you send a nicely worded email?
I sent a PayPal payment request, an invoice as you do. Yeah. And the last one, the reminder one just says, hey.
Pay the fuck up.
No, it didn't. It says, we still believe in you. Do you believe in us?
Nice.
Right.
I still don't believe in them.
Okay, but anyway, Manscaped, if you're listening.
We tried.
We're still here for you.
Yeah.
But this is what our podcast sounds like without you.
Right.
All right. Now, I'm starting to get stabby in my pants. They're growing in. They're getting into that bristly phase. Okay. But if they want to keep me from going full Sasquatch, you live up to the contract you wrote. Right? Yep. Live up to your end of the deal. Because don't force us to not go out and find another sponsor. Because we've proven that we could do that for damn near 11 years. Yeah.
And you can add penalty and interest.
Well, exactly. Right. Yeah. The penalty will be what?
Oh, we'll find ways to misuse the Manscaped devices for a year.
Oh, I can't wait.
We still haven't taken
I cannot wait.
Has anybody done an internet search yet for Ku Klux Klanscape?
No.
Is that site available?
We're going to get it.
What about Clamscape?
Clamscape.
Is that available?
We're going to get it.
All right.
Transcape.
Not anymore.
Transcape? Again, Transcape, is that shit available? I don't know. Right. But what I do know for a fact is
Manscaped 4.9 available?
Okay, so there we go. So that's that. But anyway, about these law enforcement protocols and stuff like that, do you want your motorcycle, which has an OBD sensor on it, which has location sensors? I mean, Jesus Christ, I got Vespas out here that are linked in. I got Vespas out here that have Bluetooth technology in them and can report their location back.
Except for the guy that left his next to the dumpster with his title and keys in it.
Had he had that feature, we'd know where his fucking bike is right now. That's
true.
Right? But he didn't.
It's going to make it more dangerous because you get on the freeway. Right. Usually you want to get on faster and merge into traffic.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You're going to get on at the same speed when everybody's blocking you in?
Hey,
none of the other cars are going to be speeding. So it's going to change the whole thing.
I got a question for you. Did you ever get on the freeway on Clegg Road going on Interstate 90 on your Light Ace?
Or
your Toyota Light Ace?
Or if you're listening to your GPS, Clog
okay. Your Clog A Road. Okay.
Yeah, you're at about 43 miles an hour trying to get into fifth gear.
Yeah. So that on-ramp where we live, so in this area, trying to get on that freeway, that on-ramp is like, they should have a sign that says engage hyper thrusters now.
Right.
Because when they decided to put the Clegg Road on-ramp on, they didn't consult physics.
Right.
And they were like, we have this much room, but the vehicle has to get up to 65 miles an hour.
He's got plenty of room.
Coming out of
it doesn't. Coming out of a cannon, maybe.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
I love that turn, and I've done it so many times.
Isn't
I never have a problem.
Okay, you never have a problem with that turn.
That's the one where we all fucking almost killed each other, right?
Yeah. Totally safe, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
It's great.
Yeah.
Now do it with 31 horsepower.
Right. No,
right.
No, it's not good.
So do it with 31 horsepower. Do it in a 1967 Volkswagen Beetle.
No.
Do it with 6.5 horsepower.
All right.
There's a lot of cars that were legally sold in this country that cannot do that safely.
Yeah, they can't get on the road.
They can't get on there because everybody else on that road's going 80 miles an hour, 85 miles an hour. Right. And it's a 60 mile an hour road.
So that turn.
Yeah.
And also decreasing radius ramps. Who designs, what's the engineer look down at the paper and say, I'm going to fuck everybody who ever gets on this ramp and make it a decreasing radius ramp.
Exactly.
I mean, every exit that I've ever gotten off in Pennsylvania, like where I live, because it's always like you're getting off and it's a mountain.
Yes.
So you're like, oh, I'm getting off the highway. And, whoa.
15 mile an hour. Welcome to Mercer County.
And there's just
exit ramp
skid
speed.
marks.
6.
People,
There was one at Hermitage that went down to like this big building that had the white and black checkers.
Yeah.
That fucking thing was like 95 degrees the wrong way.
The wrong way.
It was like,
you get off, you're like, oh, I'm going to get off and slow down. No, I'm not. You better be standing on the brakes.
I have got friends that are sport bikes and sport bike enthusiasts. You know,
Squids.
They wear bright colors.
Okay.
Right. So these guys are sport bike enthusiasts. But you know, if you live in Florida or if you live in Ohio, sometimes we don't have a lot of curves.
No.
So what these dudes do, and I'm not kidding you, look this shit up. What they do is they do on-ramps.
Oh, I did that.
They do clover leaves.
Yeah.
So these guys just go from clover leaf to clover leaf to clover leaf to turn. So they can turn. So
at
they can
271
enjoy
in
turns.
Mayfield, me and Mark used to go at 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
He had his Ducati, I had a ZX7R.
Yeah.
And we would do that. You get on, go around, get off, go around, get on, go around, get off. We'd do it for 2-3 hours before another car would come.
And that's all you're doing.
Yeah.
You're just doing on-ramps and off-ramps.
It was fucking
clover
great.
leaves exchanges.
And you get real comfortable, man. You're dragging knees and everything around that shit, dude.
Right.
Oh,
because there's no...
And Esther's saying, Herbert, who's out there doing this shit all night long?
If you're in those high-rise apartments that are out overlooking the thing, and you look over and you're like, oh, we got a slot car set.
Yeah.
Because it's just 2 motorcycles.
Yeah. It is fun.
Herbert says, I got an M1 here. Let me see if I can get this guy.
Those iron sights are a little bit hard.
Oh, I got him. Let's get the other guy.
I heard when I was younger, I had a buddy that was like, oh yeah, that's all I do is I do on-ramps and off-ramps, on-ramps and off-ramps.
Wow.
I was like, that's clever. I think I'll go out and do it. And I had an Interceptor at the time or something. And I was like, oh, great. You know, because of course, I didn't even think about that. I was like, that's brilliant.
But the gear wine lit up the whole neighborhood.
But I went out, but here's what I discovered real quickly. Whatever falls off a car or an 18-wheeler falls off on the on-ramp or the off-ramp.
Yeah.
So there's so much fucking deritus, you know, there's so much junk and FOD. Like, look it up, FOD. There's so much FOD on the fucking road everywhere around that I was like, fuck this shit. Yeah. I am not going to get a puncture leaned over at 62 miles an hour.
I got to get out and sweep this place first before I have fun.
Shit. Yeah. I mean, like any other turn I go out in the country and stuff is a clean turn. Meanwhile, if you're at the corner of, 271 in Mayfield, that motherfucker is just littered with mattresses and casters that came off of golf carts and, shopping carts and shit.
We only lost one guy one time. On an FZR 600, he was a newer rider, and he came out to play with us, and he slid through the grass and fucked his bike up pretty good.
Yeah, well,
iron sights.
Yeah. We had a gentleman that was a friend of ours for many, many years, and good friend of ours, and he made the transition from being a
man to a girl.
No, from being a sport bike enthusiast to a Harley rider.
Same thing.
Okay. Yeah. So, but when he switched over to the Harley Davidson, he got this Harley Davidson. He couldn't wear a helmet and leathers anymore. So he couldn't wear a helmet and proper jacket and gloves anymore. Right. So he transitioned. He made the full transition
to headbands and
to
do-rags and
do-rags
and cuts.
Yeah, he did, but he didn't survive it. So he was out doing an on-ramp thing that we know here locally, and he was doing an on-ramp thing on his Harley Davidson and didn't survive it.
Oh wow!
And that's one of those things. It's like the bike that ran into some debris on the on-ramp
because he wasn't upright and scraping.
Right. Yeah, there you go. He was upright and the bike was leaned over. It all comes back to Fort 9, goddammit.
He could have just walked off of it if he was smart.
Yeah, he could have just walked away, for fuck's sake. So I mean, that really is. I mean, as silly as it is, you take your curves where you can find them, I guess.
Yeah.
That's just what it comes down to. But if it does turn into that, you're going to go 75 miles an hour in a 65 zone, and you're going to get a ticket in the mail next week. Because I did. I was just happily motoring around in Europe, just running down the, Motostrada in Italy, and a place that normally doesn't have a speed limit, apparently.
In the beginning, you'll be able to do a lot of the license plate jamming stuff. Put blink them out. You can do a lot.
Because mine was all based on taking a picture of the back of the rental car I was in. Right. And that's one of those things that, at the speed I was going, they saw fit to send a letter that included a request for payment to the rental car company, and it was a high enough dollar amount that they forwarded it to me. Right, so I had to pay.
Put a cover over it that's going to flash. Like whenever they take the picture, it just flashes. White.
Yeah, and I mean,
if they can't read your license plate, they can't give you
the technology is going to be.
Where do you get those covers?
Order them on the Amazon.
I was just going to say.
They also have reflective spray paints.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things for that, and then there's also just, hey man, James Bond did it right. Just have a little spring-loaded license plate thing that when you're going over 75 miles an hour, you press the button and, your license plate folds up, and then the license plate of a similar ZX14R that's owned by somebody you don't like is the one that's showing. It's illegal as fuck, but you're going to get a lot less tickets that way. And some poor bastard in Cincinnati is going to be getting your tickets.
Saying, God damn it.
He's going to be like, I was never in Cleveland.
The other thing, though, that can help save us, though, is the power of your phone. So if you get your phone, it'll tell you that there's speed lights. You know, as soon as Google's going to have that mapped out.
And Waze already tells me there's a cop on the side of the road. He's 6'1". He's giving a ticket to a blonde in a red convertible, and he'll be busy for the next 14 and a half seconds.
So what's the rule? I wasn't on the rally, but I was in an event. Scooters were involved, and they started passing around a roll of just masking tape. Yep. Because they had a lot of cameras in the area, and they did that. So what's the rule?
Yeah, because in the group ride, they didn't want the group ride to end up everybody in the group ride getting a ticket, Chicago,
right?
And and also parking on the sidewalks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the idea is,
if you block your plate, it's illegal.
Yes,
so it doesn't matter what you do.
But they're not interested in that.
Well, of course not.
So the law enforcement officers are not concerned with pulling you over and writing you a ticket for the tape on your plate. But if you go past a traffic camera and you violate the red light, it's going to take a picture of your plate and it's going to automatically send you the request for payment.
Right.
But if your plate is obscured, it can't do that.
Do not use tape. Use a little bit of mud.
Yeah.
If you have to go mix up a little bit of mud, just go plop.
Yeah.
As long as you as long as you make one of the numbers legible, you're good. One little.
That's
a great point.
I
had no idea,
man. And as you get pulled over,
this is my attorney.
Sorry, I didn't know. Let me wipe that up.
Snow on the back of your
I was going to say, I never renew any of my registrations in the wintertime as long as there's snow around. I will admit, I'm like, yeah, that snow really piled up on my back bumper, right? Yeah. But
and it's spray foam.
But Christmas tree snow.
Yellow. It's stuck to everything.
It's 71 degrees out. How do you still have snow on your license plate?
I have a dog. All the snow is yellow.
It came with tinsel. Yeah. But so I guess the deal is, what happens when your vehicle is fucking you? So what happens when your bike or your car is tattling on you? You know, so there's going to have to be a technology that somebody comes up with that's going to be like the ECU fooler or something. Or like you said, putting the wrong size tires on.
It'll be 14 hours after they initiate this law.
Are they going to charge you and make you buy a box for your old car to retrofit it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's another question. So because this technology has existed in in Japan, for now 14 years, this is something that is not just, I bet you that's never going to happen. Fuck you, dude. It's already happening.
Yeah. It's going to be like the cable boxes. You go to the McDonald's drive-thru, you give the guy $20, he hands you the thing you used to plug into the satellite filter box. Yeah, you plug it in, you get all the channels. Right. When it goes bad, you drive back to the McDonald's drive-thru window. So there's that one guy in there.
My Amazon Fire Stick has been rejiggered so many times. Yeah, that's like
Cinema HD and the rest of it. Yeah,
it's fun. So I mean, I just thought that was an interesting thing because when it does turn into like a 200 mile per hour motorcycle, this bike right here it's already governed once. The manufacturer said, I'm going to govern it at 186 miles an hour. But how much fun would it be to have this if you knew that, one, when you went 80 and a 70, it was narking on you, or two, it just straight up didn't let you go 80.
Yeah. What's the point even having it?
And that's the question. So here's the question. You want to go out to the dealership. Your Johnny got a lot of bucks. You go to your dealership. You buy yourself that beautiful kick-ass Nissan GTR. Right? And that motherfucker won't go over 111 miles an hour unless you're at the racetrack.
Then Yoshi, you go to Yoshi.
Yeah.
He sells you a box for $500.
Right.
And you're golden.
But the second he puts that box in, that box now screams to the authorities that you've got an illegal box.
Well, not necessarily. I mean,
I think it will.
I think if you could clone the box and then just manipulate some of the parameters in there, just like it's like in your control program.
Right.
Like, what are your constants? I mean, like you have a constant for your gear ratio, you have a constant for whatever. All you have to say is like my gear ratio is 430 instead of 315, and then it would change. It wouldn't make any difference. It would give you.
So that's the question: is your ECU going to tattle on you, or is the GPS that's built into your ECU going to tattle on
GPS.
you? Because if your ECU says you're going 71 miles an hour and your GPS says you're going 114,
no,
probably going to have a problem.
Like it's not the GPS. You have to have a SIM card and a cell account.
Yep.
So there's like 3 antennas. There's a radio, there's a cell, and there's a GPS.
Yep.
So they actually have a SIM card.
So they know where the fuck you are just by triangulation. Yeah. So even if you don't have a GPS emitter or transmitter. So again, here we go. Build a better mousetrap. How much fun is it going to be to have a 200 horsepower motorcycle when straight up the only place you're going to be able to stretch its legs is on a racetrack if that racetrack is geo-fenced out?
So what you're saying is hold on to all your vintage bikes.
Yeah, it could be something there, right?
Carburetors are back, baby.
There's something there, man. Because, you know, I grew up at a time when a lot of cars that were out, a lot of cars that existed, you'd see this car and this thing would have a 440 big block in it, and they'd be like, it's 289 horsepower.
Thank you, 1972.
Well, we're not talking necessarily about that. We're talking mostly about the insurance industry.
Yeah.
And we're talking about car companies that voluntarily de-advertised. They lied the wrong way. They were like, oh, check out the new Dodge Polara with 289 horsepower because at 300, our insurance cost doubles.
Well, there was, did you ever watch Donut Media?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
They did a whole fucking episode about the fact that like in like I think it was like 1984 or something, all 6 major car manufacturers agreed to like make cars only go the fastest like
185 miles per hour.
Yeah, whatever it is. And but they also they basically initiated the tuning market because they still made the bottom ends and everything else able to be 700 horsepower.
Sure.
So they were like, hey, it's 280 horsepower, but if you want to make it better, I can handle it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I was buying motorcycles in the 80s where every speedometer went to 85 miles per hour.
Right.
That's it. Could the bike go 127?
You don't
Bet your
know.
ass you could, but you don't know. And it's no
know.
fun because you got no bragging rights.
Right.
So the idea was, you know, nobody's going to brag about how long their dick is if you can't see the end of it.
But here's the funny part.
know?
So my Suzukis, my 80 Suzukis, all go to 85.
Yeah.
Unless you buy the Japanese clocks.
Of course.
Then they go to 160.
Absolutely.
Well, I thought it was more restrictive in Japan. So they're just truthful and they're like, you can only
That's
go
kilometers,
75.
Steve.
No,
They didn't-
no. These are-
Hey, Steve, they didn't lose the court case that said, in the interest of saving the economy, saving the environment and our fuel shortage, we're going to limit the speed of vehicles so that they don't burn too much gasoline. And every car in America, I don't care if your car said 911 on the side, it had an 85 mile an hour speedometer.
Right.
Corvette has an 85 mile
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that it goes like this and just sits there and the tachometer goes like that.
It does a nice little thing. It has the analog 85.
Yeah.
But then there's a digital.
The digital, right. And that's exactly it. So the analog stops at 85. Right. His car has a digital that goes up to 135 or 140 or whatever the car can do. Right.
150.
Right.
86.
But the point being, they walked up to what the law says and they tiptoed right on the edge of it, right? The law said 85 mile per hour speedometer. The law didn't say 85 mile per hour top speed.
Right.
And with the Honda the CB1000 Custom or the Honda CB1100, the law said 85 mile per hour speedometer. With your Suzuki, it said 85 mile per hour speedometer. It didn't say 85 mile an hour top speed.
Right.
So with the existing American clocks, your bike went to 85 and that's where the pin was. But the bike kept going.
Oh, yeah.
Right? The odometer would still register as though the bike were going 110 or 120 or 130. It would still count the same speed, but the needle was pinned.
Yep.
Hence, pinned the needle. Now, it was simply due to a regulation that said in the United States, those vehicles had to be equipped with an 85 mile per hour speedometer. Look, I deal with this shit every day. Where these turn signals are, where the brake lights are, what type of headlights they have, what kind of fucking speedometer they have. It's the reason why Americans have been getting inferior quality shit for a very, very long time. And it's a reason that people that work in those cool factories hate us because, I'm sorry, hold on, stop. We got to build the American bikes today. What? We got to build the American bikes.
And it's a shame we ran out of gas in like 1990.
Yeah. Well, I mean, exactly. Right. It didn't help. It didn't change anything. But every single manufacturer that I've ever bought a vehicle from hates building bikes for America because our wiring harnesses are different, our brakes are different, our tires are different, our fucking turn signals are different, our headlights are different, everything's fucking different. The switches are different. So you can't just build one motorcycle for the whole fucking world and build them happily and make them all great and be really good at your job because every once in a while, oh fuck, we got to build the American bikes today.
And then worse, the California American bikes. Which
again,
just goes
one more step further. So
they probably I would say they probably build most everything like the California bikes, wouldn't you think? I mean,
by today's standards, yes. So, and remember that we've got Euro 4, Euro 5, Euro 6 compliancy too that's creating its own issues. And that's fine. But let's let's agree that if you live in Wisconsin, you are ultimately breathing in the fart that somebody put out their asshole in China, right?
Right, so they should just make them standardized.
So there should be one standard
for
the whole fucking planet, right? Unless you can tell me that, the wildfires that are happening in California aren't adversely affecting people that live in Michigan, right? Well, they are, right? So
they're affecting everybody in the entire world.
This is my point. This is it. So, because we do kind of, there are weather patterns that move air around from point A to point B. Hey, let's just have a universal standard. So the car that gets sold in Canada can also be sold in Mexico. Let's have it be so that the car that's sold in the UK can also be sold in Russia or whatever. Just make a universal fucking standard, and then let there be shit like K-trucks and stuff that is like clearly sketchy as fuck, but doesn't qualify for going on the freeway or doesn't qualify for, it doesn't, hey, it's the I Kill You Soon 200. It doesn't have airbags. It doesn't have crumple zones. It doesn't have seatbelts or whatever, but it also isn't allowed to go on the freeway. It's not allowed to go over 45 miles per hour or whatever.
I plowed through 4 gear with my truck and it put a little dent in it this big. I'm serious. It would have wrecked it. It would have smashed an American car.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
I want anything that goes. If you want to ride a golf cart down the highway, you're good to go. If you want to take a
you were riding that Versus like it was the speed of a golf cart the other week.
Okay, Mr. 40 mile an hour.
Yeah, right.
In the fucking rearview mirror.
We already had dinner and beers, and you just hit the fucking parking lot looking for us.
No, I'm saying at round 4, you're doing like 4 miles an hour on the freeway.
Because I told you like a half hour ago I was about ready to run out of gas.
So he slowed down to save fuel in hypermile.
No, on the way home.
Oh, okay.
There's no way anybody's buying this, Steve.
No, actually, because you have the longest standing record of being the slowest person any of us have ever ridden with. If you're not on your zero,
also, if the road is long,
right,
and there's a stop sign,
right,
he's slowing down about 4.9 miles
before the stop sign. So as soon as he can optically identify it's a stop sign, it becomes valid.
Yeah,
right. He's like, that's a stop sign.
And then he goes for the next 2 miles at 4 miles an hour to get there to make sure.
To make sure.
Yeah.
For 1 minute, you turned into Roy McSquinty.
Roy McSqueedy.
And now you feel like you're, Racer X.
Ouch.
Oh. What's the big L
Racer
on your
X
hat stand for?
I'll have you know, you're like Speed Racer, so Racer X saved Speed Racer's ass many times.
We'll see.
Come on, Chim
Polite competition. Exactly.
That's Chim Chim over there.
All right. But
I want to be the guy. Who's the guy
Dixie? Who's Dixie?
Dixie.
No, who's the guy that goes?
Sorry.
Clearly, it's Oscar.
Who's the guy that goes? I want to go. That guy.
I have no idea.
Speed buggy.
It's the air wrench.
Speed
that's
buggy.
Speed buggy. Yeah,
That's a different. That's only a different. Oh, jeez.
Again, I liked it better. I liked it better when there were sound effects.
Who's Schlepp car?
Yeah, I have no fucking idea.
Schlepp car.
So
She said Schlepp car.
well, there you go.
It's not even plugged in. You failed.
I'm plugged in because it was.
I failed really bad before, but that was a pretty
All
bad
right.
fail. All right.
So,
Dun, dun.
yeah, exactly. Not
we don't have
to
that
beat
one.
a fucking dead horse, but so I did want to read just a couple of emails that we got that are kind of important. I think we should give them a little bit of bandwidth because that's pretty
I
kick
like
ass.
this part.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
So we got a buddy. So we got one of our Patreon listeners, Michael Woods. Michael Woods, thank you very much. He's got a technical question for us. I like technical questions. So Michael Woods says, "Hey, why do the forks on all modern BMWs leak more than any other bike? The fork seals appear to be fine, but there's a hell of a lot more gunk than I've ever seen on any of the 5 Fireblades I've owned." So this guy's got a certain amount of experience with sport bikes. So the Fireblade, in case you weren't aware, is a CBR
900RR.
CBR 900RR in the UK. So that tells us where he's calling from.
Also, I mean,
And-
like those fork seals Fireblade fork seals, because I've had like 25
Yep.
of those bikes.
Yep.
They're stout as fuck.
Yes,
'Cause,
they
like,
are.
You can
Absolutely.
you can beat
Yeah.
the living fuck out of them, and
Yeah.
it takes like 2 years to break a fork seal.
So here's what he says. He says, I thought it might be either A, the design flaw of the upside down forks, which are new to BMW, and that gravity's making the oil run out, right? Or B, that he should slow down over speed bumps and that they are not just little ramps.
Well, if
They're
he
so
is,
fun though.
I would say if he is in the UK, is he cleening his forks? And how much shit's going up inside of him?
Or C, did they put too much oil in there?
Well, that too.
Yeah.
So I guess, Topes, right?
Topus. Yeah.
Eventually, it'll stop.
Yeah, eventually it'll stop. Right?
Exactly.
I guarantee at some point they won't stop. But I think what he's complaining about is that he's seeing a lot of grime. He's seeing a lot of grit, grime, and debris accumulating on there that he knows that's sticking to something. And
Maybe he's just getting a lot of surface oil on the,
Yep.
and it's building up grime.
yeah, and that's the thing is with any forks whatsoever, they're not perfectly dry. Like fork seals, the true thing is if we go up to baby powder, we take some talcum powder, some baby powder, we walk up to any bike, any brand new as the motherfucker might be, and we splash some
stick.
baby powder on there, there's going to be it's going to stick. It's going to pick it up.
It's lubricant,
And
yeah.
so there is a sheen of lubricant that's on there that the seal doesn't fully pull away. There's something, kind of at that in the tiny, tiny, tiny pores that are in the chrome or whatever the surface might be. There's going to be some moisture there. There's going to be something there. And if he's judging the amount of the seals leaking based on just how dirty they are, it's probably better to, before you call it a leak, measure how much oil's in it and see, are you actually really leaking? Do you have actual leakage? Meaning like, in the military, we had classes of leaks. We could call something a class 1 leak, a class 2 leak, a class 3 leak.
Is this personal or equipment?
Yeah, it's for all of the above. Yeah, and once you learn the technique, once you learn the system, then you're kind of like, oh, that's a class 1 leak. That's just a visual evidence of moisture.
Is there a thing, or I'm not aware of, but is there such a thing of maybe using a cheap fork oil that's might be
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
right?
Yeah,
that
right.
should maybe
Two are not
leak
viscous
more?
enough. And I think
Word of the
that
day.
Steve might be onto something because what I will say is when it comes to Showa suspension systems, when Honda does a Showa system, that's if you have a Showa system on your bike, you have a Honda system on your bike. Showa is Honda. So they tend to be fucking robust as shit.
But don't they have a ring inside, then they have the dust seal on the outside.
I would assume that what they're talking about though is upside downs. So I would assume that in this situation he's comparing apples to apples. He's comparing a set of BMW upside downs to a set of Showa upside downs.
But do they have an inner? I mean, do
They all
have an
do.
inner,
So
okay, they all have that inner ring.
So if you look at this motorcycle here, that's sitting here, it's got upside downs on it. They're Kawasaki, but they might even be Showas, right? Because
Can't tell because there's covers.
there's legs, boots on them, so you can't see the fun part.
well, BMW
Right.
a few years ago, I don't know, like 10 years ago, decided to make all their vehicles totally recyclable.
Right.
So you wonder if the formulation of their rubber is like following that thing where it's already breaking down in order to be like recyclable or to be landfilled in like a,
Well, also, what BMW does he have?
biodegradable.
Right.
Because-
so it's leaking because it's already breaking down on the bike.
Also, let me ask you this. So with a lot of the BMWs, they have that telescoping, the thing where the shock's inboard and then the things are just the forks things. And those, to my knowledge,
that's the telelever.
Telelever, that's it.
Telelever.
They run a lighter oil too because your shock is not in the fucking fork. So like, couldn't it be that this is just a way lighter oil and it's
That's
just
kind
kind
of
of
what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, it's
yeah.
either
but now
shitty or not the right one.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, like, now there's a reason for it to be lighter oil because the shock's not even in it. The shock is actually in the telelever part, and the fork tubes.
I get it.
The fork tubes are just dampeners. That's all they are.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, next question.
Well, no, and I wanted to weigh in on this because
Too late.
it's okay. We had an R9T in here. So we had an R9T that we'd taken it on trade. And right when I got the bike, and the bike had maybe 3,000 miles on it. Actually, probably 1,800 miles on it. It's pretty fucking low mileage. And I noticed from the day that I picked it up, like, it had at the bottom of the travel, the suspension, because they're upside down, it had giant fucking bands of goop. Like it clearly...
line.
Yeah, it had a point where these shocks aren't going down anymore. And I wiped it off. I cleaned it off dutifully, as you do when you're trying to sell bikes. You know, you don't want to have that showing. And I went out and rode the bike like 30 miles, 40 miles. I came back and motherfucking line was back again, right? I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Like, okay. And so I wiped it off again and off I fucked. And that motorcycle perpetually had these, lines, the dirt lines, the rings around the tub, right? Schlep lines, or whatever it was. And what is kind of interesting is I at no point during the time we had the bike or anything else had any reason to believe that the forks were leaking. Never.
It wasn't dripping.
It wasn't dripping, right? And so that's that class 1, class 2, class 3 leaks. And so what I was looking at was I was reading that presence of a dirt ring around the fork. That would be the fork stanchion because they're upside downs, right? So I was reading that as being, well, this thing is clearly weeping some fluid. It's clearly weeping some fluid past the seal. But I don't think it really was. What I think it was is it's just a dusty environment. You got brake dust down there. You got road grit and grime down there. Your tires are fucking constantly fucking off, right? It's a dusty, dirty place, and that is a damp thing. And so that is going to attract debris and shit to be there.
Right, and if you think about it, like the fork seals can't be tight enough to completely suck, to keep all the moisture in there because it wouldn't be smooth.
It would cease to lubricate, and that's what the oil's there to begin with anyway. So even long before it was a dampening properties and everything else, it was still to be a lubricant.
Right.
Because even if it was just a spring inside, you still needed to have some lubricity to allow the thing to slide up and down.
Yeah, you'd have to spray it with WD-40 every day.
I think you're better off having a little bit escaping through the seal because it's lubricating the seal.
Right.
You wouldn't want a dry seal going up and down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want it nice and lubed up.
Yeah. So
Settle down.
So I really do think that in exactly what Steve is saying is that I do agree that the Fireblade, the CBR, it's going to be
a better bike.
It's going to be perfect. Yeah. I think that if you're complaining about seeing these smudges and stuff around the bottom of your BMW fork legs, your fork stanchions, the chrome part. If you see that and it's bothering you, wipe it the fuck off.
Yeah.
And that line that you see in the picture, that's going to be there, right? That's going to happen. You're going to see that.
Yep.
And that's not a cause for concern, I guarantee. Like, that is not a fucking problem.
It might mean that you're having fun and taking it out into the fucking dirt and getting some shit in it.
Yeah, congratulations.
You're riding your
motorcycle.
If you look at that picture, that area behind the plate in front of it, it's going to be low pressure and it's going to deposit all when particles go through there.
Yeah.
It's going to deposit it on the back side there.
On the back side.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because that'll be a low pressure side of that.
Absolutely. So I guess to not answer your question.
Maybe they have some sort of self-cleaning fork seal where every time it goes back, it leaves the dirt. It just keeps
put sprayers on it.
Dirt that it picks up, it always leaves it up. It doesn't get in it.
I'm gonna say that until you've kind of proven that you have less fork oil in it now than you did a month ago, right?
Right.
Then I don't think you have a problem.
Right.
And that's the reason too why they don't in every fork. There's not just the absolute minimum amount of fork oil to make things work. It's enough fork oil that it can work for a really long fucking time.
Right.
So they don't tell you to put, don't only put in, 400 cc's of fork oil, not 410. Right? Because it's true. There is a reservoir of fork oil for a reason. Yep.
Is anybody else hearing some like a really faint woman's voice talking through the headphones?
I'm not.
No.
Yeah.
I highly recommend that dude gets fork gaiters, and then he just can't see.
Yeah, get neoprene fork gaiters.
Yeah,
just put them on,
don't
and they'll
look
keep
at
the
it.
dirt off of them and everything else. Like it'll change your fucking life. Neoprene fork gaiters are cheap and they are great. So thank you, Michael Woods, for that. That definitely got us the shit. So Jake Johnson, another Patreon member, sending us a request. He says something. What do you think? Kill.
Everybody be quiet for 1 second. I heard it a little bit when I first put them on. It was almost like a radio dispatcher.
Maybe it's like one of our voices being like harmonically altered to be higher.
Or, I mean, radio frequencies can get pulled into fucking cables.
It's weird. It's like I hear a woman's voice. Like so.
Do you still hear it now with no headphones on?
I do not hear it.
Are they saying kill your family?
No, I'm saying it sounded like somebody talking like really faintly.
Kill.
I am your mother.
I feel like I heard it like when I first put them on. Like it was almost like you could hear.
Look, of all the people sitting around this table to hear fucking voices in their head, let's not let it be Steve, okay? In fact, let's keep it away from both of the Steves. Right? If we could keep both of the Steves from hearing women's voices in their heads, I'm going to feel a lot better about life. Yeah.
Won't we all?
Yeah, no shit. I'll take all the fucking phantom voices. I've been hearing that shit my whole fucking life.
One more voice isn't going to hurt me.
Honestly. Between Kromke and I and his fucking being deaf and my tinnitus, that shit ain't cutting through. Give me those headphones. What? Yeah. Exactly. What? He can set his hearing aids so they only hear women's voices. Yeah. So Jake Johnson sent us a message that said, guys, I just got to say the music talk about all the saxophones in episode 341 was awesome. I used to play brass in school and you guys took me back.
Oh, shit.
Okay. Sorry.
But Steve lost the bid on all the horns,
Yeah,
so we
I
don't
heard
get to
that.
play horns.
I did check, and I do have an alto in my attic. So
you do?
I have an alto and I have a standard
I
trombone
have
in my
two
attic as
altos
well.
and a tenor. I already in my attic.
Again, we got to trade those two altos for something. So
Better than the cheese.
I know this is so on. I'll learn it. We'll get the tenor out. I'll fix the tenor up. We'll get the tenor working.
I brought my guitar.
Do you still have your alto?
No,
No, you
back
don't.
home.
Well, but we have one here. So we have three here.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So we have three. We have three altos. Now, I am biased. I personally prefer the tenor, but it's okay. You can play an alto. You can play a fucking soprano Kenny G piece of
No,
shit.
fuck that. No.
Look, we're all just aspiring to play Barry, so that's just the fact.
I heard that if the podcast plays some saxophones, a lot of the listeners get their wings.
Get their wings.
Well, they get their gremlin bells.
I was going to say, if you think that having the noise of phantom female voices in your headphones is bad, wait till you hear a 3.5 reed going off on an alto. Oh, yeah. Cats in other countries are going to be dying. Somebody's going to be listening to the podcast on their headphones, and their cat's going to come fucking out of nowhere and claw their face off. Because saxophones, human beings hear 70% of the noise they make. Yeah. But 30% of the noise they make, humans can't hear.
Right.
So when I was a young kid and I'm, practicing, I would watch the cat come down to do something innocent, like take a shit or eat food or whatever, and then I'd start playing, and the cat would turn inside out, and just go fucking claws and fucking fang at me. Like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm just playing horn. But it's just it. We can only hear a certain amount of that. The frequencies that are just at the fuck you level for a lot of animals. Yeah, it's real something.
You're sitting there playing a G, but meanwhile the cat hears cat.
Yeah, the cat just hears one thing: kill. Make the noise stop. Yeah, the whole idea is terrible. My buddy used to say the definition of perfect pitch was when you threw the accordion out the window and it landed on the banjo. And I always thought that wasn't giving enough credit to bagpipes.
That's true.
Because I always figured there's no way to make a ceremony. You go to anything in America, I'm going to let you know. If you don't live...
Again.
Yeah? Oh, I did.
No, it's gone.
Oh, sorry. That was me. Anyway, but if you live in America or if you're not from America, you may just assume that all Americans have a deep Scottish heritage because anytime somebody dies, somebody pulls out bagpipes, right?
I always wondered that at my last job, we used to do these like huge, like $2.3 million shows for like the unions and stuff.
Right.
And they'd always open them with a bagpipe fucking band.
Oh, a kilty band.
Kilty, yeah.
So
and
the kilty band, yeah.
I'm like, these guys are iron workers. What the fuck?
They're union.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with the fucking bagpipe?
They play the bagpipes because, okay, so you go to a funeral, like your mom dies, right?
Right.
Your mom's dead. You're feeling like shit.
Right.
They bring out the bagpipes, and it's like, man, this is even worse.
Right.
No. Funeral kazoo.
Losing my mom wasn't so bad. Yeah.
The fucking bagpipes, though.
If I would have known that I'd have to listen to these fucking bagpipes, I'd have treated her better. I just stretched her out a few more years. Yeah. I mean,
the whole psycho happened because he didn't want to fucking listen to the bagpipes.
Exactly.
So he left his mom in the room upstairs.
Oh, fuck that. Anybody who's not from America does not understand that, like, I don't think Scottish people play bagpipes at funerals as much as we do. It's like, this horrible thing happened and 14 people died in a bus crash. Who's got the bagpipes?
Yeah.
Although they burn cow manure. Well, even the Catholic Church.
Oh, the incense thing. Yeah.
It smells like cow shit.
Yeah, I have no idea. But that, like, the whole bagpipe thing is so fucking weird.
But there is that one punk rock chick who plays flaming bagpipes in a bikini.
There's several people that do bagpipes better, right? I'm going to go as far as to say better.
Yeah.
I'm still going to go as far as to say I am from that part of the world, and there is no sound at all that makes me feel like my cat felt. As like bagpipes. You just, and they always come in at the same way. Yeah. They always start up the same way. They always start up like they're thinking about it. Like they haven't found the note they're coming in on. It's like nobody who ever plays bagpipes plays the first second correctly. Right. They got to gear up to it.
They got to be warmed up.
Squeeze their bags.
They're warmed up.
It's like a carbureted motorcycle.
It's a bag
you got to warm
air.
them up.
Right. You don't even have to blow into the fucking thing. If you have an alternative air source.
That's true.
Right? It's like the old player pianos you have to pump with your foot. Mm-hmm. Here's a clue. You can take all that shit and just put a vacuum cleaner motor in it. And it will do the exact same thing.
So it's like, whoa, 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 whoa,
Yeah, all you need is a vacuum cleaner motor, and you can quit pumping that bitch forever. I had an 1856 Story and Clark, put a vacuum cleaner motor in it. There was a switch underneath the piano. And you could play player piano music all day long. Didn't have to pump shit. Didn't have to sit there and grab the underside of the piano and pump your guts out. Nope, not at all. Just let that bitch run and just rip through the rolls. But fuck it. You could do the same thing with the fucking bagpipes. Just put a fucking vacuum motor on it and you can play bagpipes all day long. All consistent, normal notes, and nobody has to listen to it.
I'd rather listen to a compressor run.
I would rather listen to many things. Many things. Yeah. Because anytime you see a band and they have like a bagpipe player, it's a novelty.
Yeah.
It's, we all know, we all love the Dropkick Murphys. That's great. But every time the bagpipe player comes into the situation, we know it's just a novelty.
But why does an accordion, I mean, they both use reeds. So obviously bagpipe and accordion both use reeds. Yes. Why do accordions sound so much better than bagpipes?
I think it's because there's a certain degree of like the note is what the note is supposed to be with an accordion because there's a system of checks and balances. Because an accordion is a pipe organ squeezed down into a portable box, right? I mean, that's what it is. So, yes, you are providing the air pressure behind it.
Does an accordion use one reed or multiple
many,
reeds?
Many
With
many
a bagpipe, you've got one reed, and you're just changing.
Exactly. You're changing the length of the tubes.
Each note is a specific, well-made reed.
Yes, right. So with the bagpipes,
never been breathed on or spit on.
Yeah, also true. And with the bagpipes too, you are literally controlling the pitch of the thing.
So
right.
I wonder, so with the new accordions and bagpipes, as two-stroke motors have come along, and now the 2021s are using carbon fiber reeds.
Yes.
So do instruments use carbon fiber reeds?
I saw a thing. I was accidentally on my Facebook today, and because I do occasionally look at musical instruments, I saw a thing today that they were trying to sell me a plastic trombone.
What?
No, for real. There are companies out there selling you, instruments for kids that are out playing, marching in the field and stuff like that. They don't want brass, the expensive brass, etc. They're selling plastic brass instruments.
How many tubas are made out of
Sousaphones have been fiberglass for a long time.
Well, the tops.
Yeah, sousaphones. So the sousaphones, right?
Not the horn though.
Right, the part that gets banged up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was thinking maybe bagpipes are like square wave.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Like they sound more square wave.
Yeah, you're right.
And maybe accordions are more like sine wave.
Sine wave. Yeah. Right. Yeah, and that's one of those things too, because accordion. I mean, all jokes aside, accordion is designed to be a portable instrument that can replicate many different things. Yeah, there you go, plastic trombone. There you go. That's it. That's a man who can't afford a real trombone. or the plastic. It's the solo cup of the solo cup of the marching band world.
I can't believe nobody's dropped a rusty trombone joke in this whole fucking time.
Yeah, it's invisible.
Friends of mine in Madison,
but they don't have a plastic saxophone.
No.
I'll let you explain it.
No, you go ahead and tell them.
We're not going to go down that hole, man.
We're not going to go down that hole.
We're not going to. We're not going to go down that hole. Hey!
Oh shit!
Yeah. So as far as
wait, is that a rusty trombone?
No.
No. In fact, it's the opposite. It's a plastic trombone.
It's a plastic one.
So yeah. So and that's basically just kind of joking when we go down a.
That's the rusty part, and then you fucking.
Oh jeez. Oh my God, you guys! Fucking hell, man! Fucking hell! You know what? On that, I'm going to say it, gentlemen, ladies. Well, lady,
bass clef.
To all of you out there with the XX chromosome, all one of you, ride fast and take chances. Press the red button. Play your rusty trombone.